Chapter 597. With a flap of the butterfly flame, everything turned into ashes. Ling Zhu was a void fragmentation realm old monster while Bai Li King was also a peerless expert. However, both of them were injured by the void ignition technique. Both of Ning Fan's eyes were burning with black flames. The power of the void ignition technique he displayed today was at least 30% stronger than before. The reason why this technique could burn the void was because the user had an obsession in his heart. He would use his obsession to melt the flames, use the flames to burn the wings and use the wings to burn the heavens. The stronger the obsession, the more powerful the void flames of this technique would be. The more desperate the situation was, the more compatible the mental state would be with this technique. The butterfly flame wings would fight to the death to shake the heavens. It would not regret even if it died 100 times and would never retreat from 100 battles. At this moment, Ning Fan was first trapped in this world by Wan Changkong. Then, his mental state was touched by the encounters of Sun Yu and the others. At the moment when he displayed the butterfly flame technique, his heart was also burning with the flames of obsession. That obsession was to send all the living beings to death to be free. That obsession was to break the seal of this world and fight against Wan Changkong. He wanted to fight for Sun Yu, Bai Li, and the other living beings. He wanted to take revenge for the members of the Ming Luo clan who died in Wan Changkong's hands 10,000 years ago. Void ignition technique. Ning Fan made a series of hand seals. The giant butterfly in the sky spread its fiery wings and aimed at Ling Zhu and Bai Li King. It flapped its wings for the second time, the third time and the fourth time. Above its head, black smoke instantly spread to the entire sky, burning the clouds, wind and everything in the void into ashes. The power of the butterfly flame was enough to instantly kill a grand void origin cultivator. As the smoke engulfed him, Ling Zhu's hollow eyes were filled with surprise. His body swayed and turned into a gigantic golden bamboo that was 10,000 zhang tall. The defense of the original form of the giant bamboo was heaven-defying. It was Ling Zhu's strongest defensive ability. It could even withstand a void fragmentation realm attack from a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert without a scratch. However, as soon as the smoke arrived, the giant bamboo was immediately set ablaze with towering black flames. In just an instant, it was burned into ashes by the black flames. After his original form was destroyed, Ling Zhu returned to his human form. He let out a muffled groan and coughed out blood in the sky while retreating continuously. He was a dignified first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator. Even after displaying his strongest defensive technique, he was still severely injured by the void ignition technique. Ling Zhu was already heavily injured by the void ignition technique, so the Bai Li King was in an even worse state. As the flames engulfed him, the Bai Li King immediately felt a sense of impending doom. His body instinctively moved, and he slapped the top of his head, summoning the silhouettes of 7 blood-red tigers. Each of the blood tigers had the cultivation base of the absolute virtual realm. All 7 of them shook their bodies and shattered, turning into 7 layers of blood-red light that stretched for 100 miles, protecting the Bai Li King within. The defense of the blood cloud was quite extraordinary. Even if it withstood the combined attacks of 7 Guiyuan Taishu realm experts, it would not be broken. However, as soon as the smoke arrived, the 7 layers of blood clouds were all ignited by the black flames and burned into nothingness. After the 7 layers of defense were broken, the smoke of fire swept towards the Bai Li King, and the Bai Li King's body was suddenly engulfed in layers of black flames. At the moment of certain death, the Bai Li King's body soared up into the clouds, and with a shake of his body, he transformed into a huge blood-red tiger that was 10,000 feet tall. The body of the giant tiger was originally covered with almost enchanting blood-red runes, but at this moment, those blood-red runes were burned into nothingness by the void ignition fire. As the runes disappeared, the giant tiger let out a painful roar. Then, its body turned into ashes and disappeared. When the ashes dispersed, the Bai Li King who was burnt to a crisp reappeared in the vast sky. He clutched his chest and half-knelt on the clouds in the sky. He was on the brink of death. He was just a step away from losing his life to the void ignition technique. Ling Zhu and the Bai Li King were severely injured by Ning Fan. Their expressions were as gloomy as still water, but deep down, they were overjoyed. They were looking forward to being killed by Ning Fan. They were looking forward to freeing themselves from this living puppet. Kill. Kill me. The Bai Li King's face revealed an extremely painful expression. He was a living puppet. He longed for freedom. He was not willing to be controlled by one Changkong. He would rather die. Ning Fan did not say much. His black robes suddenly dispersed into countless black shadows. The moment the void ignition butterfly disappeared, the black shadows that filled the sky immediately swept towards the dying Bai Li King. His physical body was minced into pieces by the layers of black shadows. His life force was fading away bit by bit. However, his eyes were filled with relief. Thank you. Bang.at the next moment, the Bai Li King was minced into pieces by the layers of black shadows and died under the Black Tempest soul-splitting technique. Rest in peace, the black shadows condensed again. Ning Fan, who was clad in black robes, appeared in the sky. Currently, he had used the void ignition technique and the Black Tempest soul-splitting technique consecutively. He did not have much magic power left. 10,000 zhang away, Ling Zhu was holding a golden horsetail whisk. His face was pale and his injuries were extremely severe. Kill me, Ling Zhu uttered those few words with great difficulty. His body turned into a ray of light and rushed towards Ning Fan with intense killing intent. He was an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Even though he was severely injured by the void ignition technique, he still had the strength to make void refinement realm cultivators feel helpless. While he was flying, he raised his horsetail whisk and swung it at Ning Fan's head, causing golden rays of light to fill the sky. Currently, Ning Fan did not have much magic power left. It was difficult for him to cast magic techniques that were too powerful. He patted his storage pouch and took out the Tower of Freezing Rain. He wanted to use the power of his magic treasure to fight against Ling Zhu. Rings of silver raindrops reverberated in the sky, forming a massive silver ring. Within the ring, countless rain arrows soared into the sky and collided with the golden rays of light that filled the sky. Boom! The golden rays of light dispersed and the rain arrows were destroyed. This time, the result of the collision was a draw. Ling Zhu suddenly stopped moving. He opened his mouth and breathed out a golden thunderbolt. Immediately, the sky was filled with flashes of lightning. That golden thunderbolt had an unstoppable sharpness. It could travel 1,000,000 li within a breath. The vast sky was split apart by that extremely dazzling golden thunderbolt. The attack was too fast. Ning Fan had just kept the Tower of Freezing Rain and was unable to dodge it in time. The golden thunderbolt had already struck his body. That golden thunderbolt flowed wantonly inside his body, destroying his dantian, internal organs, immortal veins and sea of consciousness. In just an instant, Ning Fan was already severely injured. The 3 blood stars on his glabella began to shine. Suddenly, a massive blood-red lightning diagram appeared beneath his feet. Refine. The lightning diagram was activated. The golden thunderbolt that went into Ning Fan's body immediately began to melt and disintegrate. It turned into traces of golden lightning power and flowed out of Ning Fan's body, getting devoured by the lightning diagram. Even though Ning Fan was injured by the thunderbolt, his magic power had recovered a lot after devouring it. Seeing that Ning Fan had blocked the golden thunderbolt, Ling Zhu once again took out his horsetail whisk and swung it at Ning Fan's head. This time, Ning Fan did not dodge or evade. He circulated his mountain-pulling force and raised his palm to the sky. A 10,000 zhang tall fire steel appeared on his palm. After a few exchanges, Ling Zhu's injuries were already extremely severe. Even his qi was beginning to weaken. On the other hand, even though Ning Fan was also injured, his injuries were recovering rapidly under the treatment of the Black Star technique. He suddenly threw the fire steel. It rose into the sky and shone with the light of the sun and moon, shattering the golden light of Ling Zhu's horsetail whisk. Ning Fan lifted his finger and pointed at the steel. It flashed and vanished without a trace. At the next moment, it directly appeared above Ling Zhu's head. The shadow of the steel divided into 10 and then into 100. In an instant, it turned into 50 gigantic blazing suns and cold moons. All of the suns and moons fell towards Ling Zhu as if it was the end of the world. First spirit steel technique, sun sinking moon falling. Boom boom boom, the blazing suns and cold moons exploded, setting off waves of destructive qi. Ling Zhu was already an arrow at the end of its flight. After being hit by the steel, he coughed out blood and fell from the sky, out of the attack range of the shadows of the sun and moon. Kill me. Ling Zhu struggled to stabilize his body and begged once again. At this moment, he could no longer mobilize any magic power in his body. He could not even move half a step. It was the best time for him to be killed. Without needing Ling Zhu's reminder, Ning Fan had already appeared 10,000 zhang away from Ling Zhu in a flash. He summoned the white tiger gauntlet on his right arm and took a huge step forward. He threw a punch from 10,000 zhang away. His body followed behind the white tiger fist light and turned into a ray of light, crashing towards Ling Zhu. Before the fist light got close to Ling Zhu, Ning Fan threw a second punch. The force behind the punch combined into one and the two punches landed on Ling Zhu's chest. Boom! When the fist light landed on Ling Zhu's body, the rebounding force directly sent Ning Fan flying away. Fresh blood flowed out from the bones of his fist. As for Ling Zhu, who was at the end of his flight, his chest caved in after being punched twice by Ning Fan's profound spirit equipment. His immortal veins were all broken and his magic power had already dissipated. His physical body was like a withered tree, withering little by little and growing old. His skin turned into tree bark and eventually peeled off piece by piece. Thank you, Ling Zhu let out a sigh with mixed feelings. Before he died, he cupped his fists and bowed to Ning Fan. He had been stubborn in the righteous path of the profound sects all his life. He hated devil cultivators the most and had never bowed to any devil cultivator. Ning Fan was the only devil cultivator whom he was grateful to in his entire life. Have a good journey. Ning Fan kept the profound spirit gauntlet into his body and cupped his fists to return Ling Zhu's greeting. At the next moment, Ling Zhu's physical body was destroyed, turning into ashes and disappearing in the vast sky. A void fragmentation realm expert died in Ning Fan's hands just like that. From now on, Ning Fan had killed Ling Zhu, Bai Li King, Sun Yu, and the others with his own strength. Ling Zhu was the first void fragmentation realm expert that Ning Fan had killed with his own strength. This was fundamentally different from killing Bone Sovereign. The reason why Bone Sovereign died in Ning Fan's hands was because his injuries were too severe, which caused his cultivation base to fall to the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan consumed a few pills and his cold eyes stared at the last person in the sky, the chief pill refinement master of the Vine Palace, Zhu Hong. This person was not a living puppet. He was the subordinate of the Vine Sovereign. Thus, he could be considered as Ning Fan's real enemy. When Ning Fan's gaze landed on him, Zhu Hong's face immediately turned pale. He was just a void inquiry stage cultivator. After witnessing how Ning Fan killed Ling Zhu and Bai Li King with his own eyes, he knew that he was definitely not Ning Fan's opponent. He looked at the ancestral bamboo tree devil in the distance. From his point of view, the tree devil was the only one who could save him in this golden world. In a flash, Zhu Hong tried to fly in the direction of the tree devil. However, Ning Fan simply pointed a finger at him and stopped him in midair. You are not a living puppet. Therefore, I should be able to search your soul and obtain some information from your memories. Ning Fan flashed and appeared in front of Zhu Hong indifferently. He ignored Zhu Hong's horrified expression and directly placed his palm on his head. How dare you? I am the chief pill refinement master of the Vine Palace and the most valued subordinate of the Vine Sovereign. If you dare to search my soul, the Vine Sovereign will certainly not let you go. Ah! Before Zhu Hong could finish his words, he let out a blood-curdling scream and fainted. Ning Fan did not show any mercy to Zhu Hong. He directly searched his soul and memories. After that, he raised his finger and pointed at Zhu Hong and killed him with a ray of void sword light. From Zhu Hong's memories, Ning Fan learned a lot of secrets of the Vine Palace. He also learned about the Vine Sovereign's entire plan to destroy the Bamboo Palace. Only then did he know that Wan Changkong and the others did not come to the Eastern Forest Sea to hunt him down. Instead, they had been plotting against the Bamboo Palace for a long time. Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the battlefield in the distance. The tree devil whose cultivation base was at the third stage of the destruction realm was fighting against Ting Xianro and the heavenly tribulation puppet. The ancestral bamboo tree devil had already become one of Wan Changkong's living puppets. There was no possibility of it recovering. Even though the bamboo sovereign asked Ning Fan to heal the ancestral bamboo, it was obvious that there was no medicine that could cure it. The ancestral bamboo who had become a living puppet was also living a life worse than death. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination. There was no medicine that could cure this ancestral bamboo. The only way to free it was to kill it. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, even if he uses the void ignition butterfly flame technique, it would not be enough to kill the ancestral bamboo tree devil who was at the third stage of the destruction realm. With the cultivation base of Ting Xianro, the heavenly tribulation puppet and the others, it was still possible for them to restrain the ancestral bamboo tree devil. However, it would be extremely difficult for them to kill it. If I borrow the power of the 5 sword spirits and use Emperor Xia's sword, I might have some confidence in killing the ancestral bamboo. However, with my current cultivation base, my magic power will certainly be depleted after I make a single slash and I will need a long time to recover. Now, I can only rely on the might of Emperor Xia's sword to kill the ancestral bamboo tree spirit. Ning Fan placed his palm on his sword pouch, about to summon the 5 sword spirits and Emperor Xia's sword. At this moment, a bloodthirsty roar resounded from the bamboo world, forcefully entering the golden world that was created by the sealing technique. That roar was filled with the joy of breaking free. It was made by a third heavenly layer void fragmentation realm evil beast. In the bamboo world, Wan Changkong had already successfully broken a hole in the grand formation of the bamboo world and unsealed the first ferocious beast, the evil beast. This evil beast seemed to have sensed the presence of members of the Fu clan nearby. Its roar revealed endless hostility. It was an evil beast that was the enemy of the Fu clan. The roar of this evil beast was different from the sorrowful cry that Ning Fan heard in the past. The roar of the first evil beast was unusually sharp. It spread from the bamboo world to the entire 1 billion li of Muyi country. When the roar reached the sky above Ji Shui, the Vine Sovereign and the experts of the Vine Palace were overjoyed. As for Lu Sovereign and Bamboo Sovereign, their faces immediately turned pale. The Bamboo Sovereign, in particular, had already guessed that a huge change had happened in the bamboo world from the roar. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. The ferocious beasts that were suppressed in the bamboo world have actually broken free. Good. 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 This old man's avatar has successfully unsealed the first Sin Li. When all 4 evil beasts are unsealed, it will be the time when you, the Bamboo and Lu Sovereigns, die. The remaining 10 clones of Wan Changkong all raised their heads and laughed heartily. Their expressions were extremely complacent. Lu Haoyue's appearance was beyond the Vine Sovereign and Wan Changkong's expectations. However, with the help of the evil beast, even if Lu Haoyue was here, he would not be able to go against the Vine Palace. Now that the evil beast has emerged, no one can save the bamboo hall. The Vine Sovereign sneered. Chapter 598. After the Vine Sovereign finished laughing, she gave the Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Vine Palace beside her a look. The remaining 4 Void Refinement Realm experts of the Vine Palace and the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th elders of the Bamboo Palace who had been reduced to living puppets took a step forward at the same time. Together with Wan Changkong's 10 clones, they surrounded the Bamboo Sovereign who had lost an arm. Wan Changkong and the others had a total of 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts. Even though the Bamboo Sovereign was strong, he was severely injured and had lost an arm. At this moment, he would certainly be at a disadvantage against one Changkong and the other 6 void fragmentation realm experts. The Vine Sovereign no longer looked at the Bamboo Sovereign. In her eyes, the Bamboo Sovereign who was surrounded by 17 void fragmentation realm experts was already a dead man. He approached Lu Haoyue step by step. His gaze was only focused on Lu Haoyue. At this moment, only Emperor Lu at his peak could be considered a formidable enemy. Sovereign Qi surged around his body, and with every step he took in the sky, huge vines grew out of the empty sky. The moment the vines appeared, they immediately transformed into Golden Core Realm Vine Soldiers. The vines that filled the sky transformed into Vine Soldiers, and nearly 100,000 Jin Dan appeared. This was a technique that all the Vine Sovereigns of the Vine Hall had to cultivate. Emperor's skill, soldiers under the vine. The soldiers under the vine technique A mere 100,000 Gold Core Realm Rattan soldiers are nothing to be afraid of. Lu Haoyue's gaze darkened. He glanced at the Bamboo Emperor and touched the Heaven Devil pouch on his waist. That Heavenly Devil pouch was a broken treasure of the minor Kiliacosm. When he touched it, a light flashed and 6 void fragmentation realm old monsters appeared behind him out of nowhere. All 6 of them were elders of the palace of Lu. It was obvious that Lu Haoyue had come to the Eastern Tree Sea prepared, and he had not come alone. All of you, go and help the Bamboo Emperor. My father owes the previous Bamboo Emperor a favor. I will not let the Bamboo Emperor perish today. Yes, sir. The 6 of them flashed and flew to the Bamboo Sovereign's battle circle. Each of them helped the Bamboo Sovereign block a void fragmentation realm expert, making the Bamboo Sovereign situation a little easier. The Bamboo Emperor revealed a complicated expression. In reality, he did not have any friendship with Lu Haoyue. Instead, they had some conflicts. He had never thought that Lu Haoyue was actually such a righteous person. Lu Haoyue had disregarded the former enmity and lent a helping hand during the great calamity of the Bamboo Hall just because of the kindness of the previous Bamboo Emperor. Lu Haoyue. If I don't die today, I'll definitely return the favor I owe you today. Bamboo Emperor gritted his teeth and said. No need. When I do things, I only seek speed. What does it have to do with me whether you owe me a favor or not? Lu Haoyue laughed loudly, his eyes revealing an extremely tyrannical expression. Today, Lu Haoyue was dressed in martial attire. He wore a golden leaf armor and a willow leaf crown on his head. He looked dignified and majestic, like an emperor. He bent his palm, and a pure gold willow whip appeared in his hand. He raised his hand and lashed out at the 100,000 Rattan soldiers. That whip looked extremely similar to the white lightning whip in Ning Fan's hand. However, it was just a magic treasure that was transformed from a magic technique. It was not a real object. The whip had no length. As far as the eye could see, that was the range of the whip's attack. The whip lashed out, and a golden whip shadow with destructive fluctuations was struck out, transforming into a golden dragon that soared into the sky. The golden dragon exploded, shattering into 100,000 whips. Wherever the whips landed, the Golden Core Vine soldiers would immediately die. The second whip. Lu Haoyue laughed maniacally like a devil after killing 100,000 Vine soldiers with a single whip. He raised his whip in an extremely domineering manner and lashed it at the Vine Sovereign from a distance. The 2 of them were separated by 30 kilometers, but the whip still struck the Vine Sovereign's body. The Vine Sovereign's physical body wasn't weak at all. Her physical body was at the first heavenly layer of Nirvana realm, and she even had a mid-grade divine mystic armor protecting her. After being struck by Lu Haoyue's whip, a crack immediately appeared on the mid-grade spirit Xian armor. It had already suffered some damage. Moreover, when the Vine Sovereign was struck by the whip, a bolt of golden lightning immediately appeared in her dantian out of nowhere and swept toward her demonic soul. In an instant, the Vine Sovereign's palm-sized demonic soul spat out a mouthful of blood. Her breastplate was shattered, and she was directly injured by the lightning. The Vine Sovereign's eyes were immediately filled with astonishment. This is the technique of Thunder Emperor Buzhou of the Rain Immortal World. It can directly extract a person's primordial spirit and demon soul. 10,000 years ago, Thunder Emperor Buzhou of the Rain World had already fallen. I can't believe that you actually learned his white lightning soul extraction technique. When the Vine Sovereign thought of Thunder Monarch Buzhou's illustrious reputation, deep fear emerged in her eyes. Lu Haoyue laughed loudly. He raised his hand and lashed out for the third time, the fourth time, and the fifth time. In his mind, the awkward memory of learning the white lightning spirit drawing technique flashed through his mind. 20,000 years ago, he had snuck into the rain world to have fun and met the Thunder Monarch by chance. At that time, he was merely at the third heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. After a conversation with the Thunder Monarch, he was deeply impressed by the latter's extraordinary Tao comprehension. Then, he proposed to become sworn brothers with the Thunder Monarch and seek the great Tao together. At that time, the Thunder Monarch's entire body was hidden under his cloak, revealing only a pair of blood-red eyes that resembled those of a woman. She gave Lu Haoyue a strange look and sneered with a man's voice. "Brother? I will never become sworn brothers with anyone." The Thunder Monarch was not a man. How could he become brothers with a man? The Thunder Monarch insisted on not becoming sworn brothers with Lu Haoyue. Lu Haoyue thought that she was looking down on him and challenged her out of anger. After a bitter battle, Lu Haoyue was beaten to a pulp by the Thunder Monarch while the latter remained unscathed. However, Lu Haoyue was not annoyed at all. Instead, he burst into laughter and repeatedly said that his skills were inferior to the Thunder Monarch's. He was an open-minded man. The Thunder Monarch admired Lu Haoyue's broad-mindedness. With a thought, he imparted the Thunder Jade token and the White Lightning Soul extraction technique to Lu Haoyue as an apology for severely injuring him. After that, the Thunder Monarch left and never saw Lu Haoyue again. To her, Lu Haoyue was a good man. However, that was all. Everything about him had nothing to do with her. After Lu Haoyue obtained the White Lightning Soul extraction technique, he cultivated it diligently for 10,000 years and cultivated it to an extremely high level. His cultivation base had also reached the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He wanted to go to the rain world again and challenge the Thunder Monarch. Unfortunately, the Thunder Monarch died mysteriously at that time. His remnant soul was sealed in the Thunder Monarch's tomb. Lu Haoyue rushed to the Rain Palace in anger and questioned the Rain Monarch about the cause of the Thunder Monarch's death. From Lu Haoyue's point of view, the death of the Thunder Monarch in the Rain world was definitely related to the Rain Palace. At that time, the Rain Monarch was a cultivator at the third heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm who was very close to breaking through to the fourth heavenly layer. He was no match for Lu Haoyue. Lu Haoyue let out a long sigh after defeating all the void fragmentation realm experts of the Rain Palace alone. The Rain Monarch was so weak that even he, Lu Haoyue, could not do anything to them. The fall of the Thunder Emperor might have been due to some accident. Lu Haoyue wanted to enter the Emperor's tomb to search for the remnant soul of the Thunder Emperor. However, he received a jade slip from the Zhou family of the Endless Sea. The jade slip was left behind by the Thunder Emperor before his death. The jade slip told Lu Haoyue not to interfere with the matters of the Rain world and that he would find a way to resurrect himself and take revenge on his enemies. Lu Haoyue looked at the jade slip and returned to the tree world in silence. He did not enter the tomb. He knew the arrogance of the Thunder Sovereign. He had to take revenge personally. As he sighed over the loss of a friend, he continued to cultivate the White Lightning Spirit extraction art day and night, and his strength became stronger and stronger. After he had broken through to the fifth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, he once sneaked into the Sword World and challenged the three sovereigns of the Sword World just like the Thunder Sovereign did in the past. Unfortunately, he wasn't the Lightning Emperor, and he didn't possess the strength to fight the three Sword Emperors by himself. After fighting bitterly for 3 days and 3 nights, he lost at the hands of the three Sword Emperors. However, the strength of his combat strength was evident. Ordinary fifth heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivators were no match for him at all. If Lu Haoyue were to fight against a void fragmentation realm's sovereign expert alone, he would definitely have the strength to win. As for Lu Haoyue, he snuck into the tomb of the Thunder Sovereign to remember his dead friend and met Ning Fan in the Sovereign Tomb. At that time, even though he had entered the Sovereign Tomb, he followed the last wish of the Thunder Sovereign and did not attempt to rescue the remnant soul of the Thunder Sovereign who was trapped in the tomb. At that time, he met Ning Fan by chance and faintly sensed an extremely faint chi of the White Lightning Whip from him. That was the unique chi of the Lightning Whip refined by the Thunder Sovereign. Only cultivators who cultivated the White Lightning Spirit extraction art could sharply sense this chi. Lu Haoyue could not help but feel a little interested in Ning Fan. In his opinion, Ning Fan must be closely related to the resurrection of the Thunder Sovereign. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to receive a treasure from the Thunder Sovereign. Judging from the treasure, the chi on the White Lightning Whip was still very fresh. It must have been set up by the Thunder Sovereign recently. Lu Haoyue faintly guessed that the Thunder Sovereign was about to return and he was going to rely on his own strength to take revenge on his enemy. He did not mention the word lightning in front of Ning Fan and he did not want to talk too much with him. Originally, he was going to leave the Sovereign Tomb directly. However, when he saw Ning Fan's state of void comprehension, his interest towards Ning Fan rose again. This time, he was interested in Ning Fan himself. He pretended to meet Ning Fan for the first time and asked Ning Fan a few questions. The answers he obtained shocked him. For a moment, he almost regarded Ning Fan as his bosom friend. He wished that he could become sworn brothers with Ning Fan. However, when he recalled the incident where he was rejected by the Thunder Sovereign, he smiled bitterly. The friendship between gentlemen is as indifferent as water. That alone is enough. Why do we have to become sworn brothers? He just gave Ning Fan a spirit sense token and asked him to meet him at Lu Palace in the future. Then, he left. Memories flashed across his mind. Lu Haoyue smiled faintly and thought of Ning Fan. He received news that Ning Fan was in the Eastern Tree Sea. This time, he secretly found out that the Bamboo Hall was in trouble. The reason why he came to the Eastern Tree Sea to save the Bamboo Hall was because he wanted to repay the debt he owed the Bamboo Hall for his father. Secondly, he wanted to visit Ning Fan in the Eastern Tree Sea and have a good discussion about the Tao while drinking wine. I wonder where Brother Ning is right now. Even though his Tao comprehension is deep, he is still a cultivator who has yet to attain the void glimpse stage after all. No, that's not right. I haven't seen him for many years. He seems to have already attained the absolute void stage. His cultivation speed, on the other hand, is far beyond my reach. Unfortunately, his absolute void stage cultivation base is still extremely weak. It will be difficult for him to even protect himself in the great calamity of the Eastern Bamboo Continent this time. The first evil beast has already been unsealed. I need to act as soon as possible to defeat the Vine Sovereign and save the Bamboo Sovereign. Then, we will head to the Heavenly Expanse Bamboo World together and stop the people of the Vine Hall from unsealing the evil beasts. One of the 4 evil beasts that have been sealed has a cultivation base at the 5th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. If this beast is unsealed and helps the Vine Sovereign, I'm afraid it will be difficult for me to fight the Vine Sovereign alone. As Lu Haoyue thought about it, he had already lashed out the 6th and 7th whips. The White Lightning Spirit Extracting Technique. Each time the lightning whips were lashed, the destructive power of the whip would become stronger. Combining the 7 whips into one was Lu Haoyue's limit. The 7 golden dragon whips merged into one and turned into a 7-headed lightning dragon. With a flash, it crossed a great distance and struck the Vine Sovereign's chest. All of a sudden, the Vine Sovereign's mysterious divine armor was shattered. Countless golden lightning bolts appeared in her dantian, severely injuring her demon soul. The Vine Sovereign retreated 100 li away in the sky. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. She activated her secret technique again and again to forcefully extinguish the golden lightning in her body. At this moment, the Vine Sovereign's eyes were filled with deep fear when she looked at Lu Haoyue. Strong. Lu Haoyue is extremely strong. Even though she and Lu Haoyue were both at the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, Lu Haoyue's strength was far beyond hers. I miscalculated. I didn't expect that I'm actually far from being a match for this Lun Ye. I didn't expect that Lun Ye, who has always been indifferent to the conflicts in the tree world, would actually be this strong. Fortunately, I still have backup. No one knows that my master is the sect master of the Three Realms sect. The reason why I'm not afraid of Wan Changkong and dare to kill the divine sovereign of the tree world is because I have the support of the Three Realms sect. When the divine sovereign thought of her master, she felt annoyed. When she thought of the help from the Three Realms sect that had yet to arrive, she felt even more resentful. The divine sovereign had never accepted a disciple. The reason why she accepted Du was because it was an order from her master, the sect master of the Three Realms. Du had the Scarlet Sun physique. Once his cultivation base reaches a certain level, it would be greatly beneficial to the cultivation of the sect master's physique. Du was the person whom the sect master of the Three Realms had secretly ordered him to protect. However, he died unexpectedly in Ning Fan's hands. The sect master of the Three Realms had been in seclusion for many years and had yet to come out. Thus, the news of Du Yu's death had yet to reach his ears. This time, the Vine Sovereign wanted to destroy the Bamboo Hall and asked for help from the Three Realms sect. Seeing that the Vine Sovereign was the disciple of the sect master, a 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm elder of the sect agreed to help. However, he seemed to be delayed by some matters and had yet to arrive at the tree world. The 4 Niali haven't been completely unsealed and old ancestor Tian Qian hasn't arrived yet. If it wasn't for that, why would I be suppressed by a mere Lu Haoyue? The Vine Sovereign waved her hand and wielded the yuan-breaking dagger at Lu Haoyue. Lu Haoyue smiled disdainfully and lashed his golden whip 7 times in a row, breaking the yuan-breaking dagger into 2. The dagger was powerful enough to severely injure the Bamboo Sovereign. However, it could not do anything in front of Lu Haoyue. Destroy. The sovereign qi around Lu Haoyue's body was like a dragon. The power of his golden whip increased by another 30% and he lashed the Bamboo Sovereign 7 times in a row. The 7 lashes combined to form a 7-headed lightning dragon. The Vine Sovereign's eyes widened in shock. She sensed great danger from Lu Haoyue's whip attack. If she gets hit by this whip, she would either die or be severely injured. Just as she was about to block Lu Haoyue's whip attack, a red light flashed in the sky. An old demon in red robes with a pair of large blood-colored feathers on his back appeared. That old man remained silent for a moment. Then, he pressed his palm down and directly crushed the 7-headed lightning dragon. Even though the lightning dragon was destroyed, the old man took a few steps back in a disheveled manner. Obviously, he was shaken by the might of the lightning dragon and suffered some injuries. Humph. I didn't expect Lu Sovereign of the tree world to be so powerful. Even I am slightly inferior to him. Aren't you the 4th elder of the Three Realms sect? Why is someone from the upper realm interfering in the dispute of my lower realm? Lu Haoyue stared at the old demon in red robes and blood feathers coldly. His heart sank. Isn't the Three Realms sect a sect established by the rogue cultivators of the upper realm? Why would the cultivators of the upper realm interfere in the dispute of the 3 sovereigns of the lower realm? I will stop you from killing Lu Haoyue. Second Highness Ping Zhu, you must fulfill your promise and give me a Sinli to devour. The old demon in red robes licked his lips greedily. All right. The Vine Sovereign hesitated for a moment before agreeing without much hesitation. He was prepared to give a Sinli at the void fragmentation realm to the old demon in red robes to devour in order to rope him in. Screeched. The second roar of the ferocious beast Sinli suddenly resounded from the peak of the sky. The aura force of this Sinli's roar was also at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The Vine Sovereign's eyes lit up. Needless to say, the second Sinli in the bamboo world has been unsealed. Sinli. Is this the legendary ferocious beast Sinli? The old demon in red robes' eyes burned with passion. In order to devour a Sinli, he was willing to help the Vine Sovereign do anything. Even if he had to kill the bamboo sovereign and willow sovereign of the tree world for no reason, it was not a problem. He was the fourth elder of the Three Realms sect. Why would he need a reason to do whatever he wanted in the lower realm? In the bamboo world, Ning Fan was helping Teng Xianro and the heavenly tribulation puppets to defeat the three tree devils. When he heard the sound of the second Sinli being unsealed, his eyes turned grim. The roar of the second Sinli was also filled with endless hatred towards the Fu Li clan. The second Sin Li's roar was directed at Ning Fan. It could vaguely sense Ning Fan's Fu Li bloodline. Its eyes were filled with killing intent. A mere Sinli was demoted to a Sinli because of the crime of betraying the clan. Not only did it not repent, but it also hates the Fu Li clan. Ning Fan's mind raced and his eyes flashed with cold light. He could foresee that even if he leaves this golden world, he would still be besieged by the unsealed Sinli in the outside world. Thus, the only thing he could do was to leave this world as soon as possible before one Changkong unseals more Sinli. Roar, the countless bamboo arms of the scattered tree devils turned into sharp thorns and stabbed at Teng Xianro and the others, forcing them to retreat. Ning Fan opened his sword pouch. With a flash of golden light, Emperor Xia's sword appeared in his hand. He knew that he must eliminate the tree devils at all costs and leave this world as soon as possible. Little Fan Fan, don't be afraid. Big sister will help you kill this old tree spirit. Second sister will help you kill it. Third sister will help you kill it. Fourth sister will help you stab it to death. 5. Tong Tong, you little stutterer. Don't talk anymore. It's a waste of time. Let's quickly attack together and help little Fan Fan completely control the golden sword. Tong Tong let out a soft sound. At the next moment, the 5 sword spirits exerted all of their strength. Ning Fan held the Emperor Xia's sword in his hand. All of his magic power flowed into the sword like an ocean. Create an opportunity for me. I want to kill this devil with a single sword strike. Ning Fan ordered Teng Xianro and the others with a deep voice. Chapter 599. Ning Fan held Emperor Xia's sword in his hand. After giving the order, he slowly closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, there was actually an extremely thin golden line swimming in each of his eyes. If it was magnified countless times, one would be able to see clearly that the 2 golden lines swimming in Ning Fan's eyes were actually 2 extremely tiny golden swords. It was the remnants of the sword left behind by the previous owner of Emperor Xia's sword. It was Ning Fan's first time holding the sword, but he was still unable to feel the sword intent. However, when he held the sword for the second time, Ning Fan had already gradually achieved the state where his body and sword became one and caused the remaining sword intent in the sword to go on a rampage. There was only a small amount of this sword intent, but the sword might it contain seemed to be much stronger than the immortal trapping sword intent that Ning Fan had comprehended. At the moment he merged with the sword intent, his sea of consciousness actually felt like it was on the verge of collapsing. It was being corroded by traces of golden sword intent. One should know that Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was the sword consciousness. It was formed through the immortal execution order. Moreover, it had devoured the broken immortal slaughtering sword and contained the immortal trapping sword intent. Moreover, it was reinforced by Teng Xianro's sword consciousness. His sword vaguely contained the power of 3 of the 4 heaven-suppressing swords, but before the sword of Emperor Xia's sword, his sword will, and sword were not worth mentioning at all. It was difficult to resist the erosion of the golden sword will. What kind of sword intent did the previous owner of this sword cultivate? How could the sword power be so domineering? It's much stronger than the sword power of the 4 heaven-suppressing swords, such as Celestial Slaying, Celestial Trapping, and Celestial Ending. This sword intent is very strong. It also gives me a very familiar feeling. So that's how it is. When I first saw this sword, the reason why I felt a sense of familiarity was because I felt a sense of familiarity with this sword intent. The feeling this sword intent gives me is very similar to the sword chi of the scabbard I got from the Godly Void Pavilion's auction, but it's somewhat different. The sword sheath that Ning Fan mentioned was something he obtained from the Godly Void Pavilion's auction in the past. It contained a trace of the sword ancestor's sword chi. Relying on this eternal sword chi, Ning Fan's insignificant harmonious spirit cultivation was able to block Moksha Emperor's attack. The feeling that the sword intent of Emperor Xia's sword gave him was very similar to the sword intent of the sword ancestor. However, if one were to carefully analyze the two sword intents, the difference between them would be like the difference between heaven and earth. They were not exactly the same and their power could not be compared. The sword will of Emperor Xia's sword seemed to have been created by imitating the sword will of the sword ancestor. The previous master of Emperor Xia's sword attempted to comprehend and imitate the sword will of the sword ancestor. The sword ancestor's sword intent is countless times more powerful than the four heaven-suppressing swords. Ning Fan put away all the distracting thoughts in his mind and immersed all of his attention into Emperor Xia's sword, gradually calming the violent sword intent within it. He stepped on the sky and slowly advanced, approaching the ancestral bamboo tree demon step by step. At this moment, Ting Xianro and the 5 heavenly tribulation puppets had received Ning Fan's order. They were doing their best to fight the tree devil, creating an opportunity for Ning Fan to kill it. The tree demon was a life puppet. His true will was unwilling to obey Wan Changkong, unwilling to destroy Bamboo Hall, unwilling to unseal Niali. However, he was born and had no choice. His mission was to protect the Bamboo Hall, but since 10,000 years ago, he had killed many cultivators of the Bamboo Hall because of his madness. Every time he killed someone, his heart would be filled with grief. This time, he had to obey Wan Changkong's order to destroy the bamboo palace that he had been guarding for a long time. He wasn't willing. He wanted to die in the hands of Ting Xianro and the other void fragmentation realm experts. However, they did not have the strength to kill him. His ancestral bamboo body was just a shell. His tree spirit was his true body. However, Ting Xianro and the others could not even break his shell, let alone harm the tree spirit in the bamboo. He repelled the attacks of Ting Xianro and the others again and again. When he was almost in despair, Ning Fan took out Emperor Xia's sword. The tree devil glanced at Ning Fan from the corner of his eyes. At this moment, Ning Fan gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. If one were to look carefully, they would realize that the feeling of danger did not come from Ning Fan himself. Instead, it came from the thin golden sword in his hand. If this sword gets close to my tree spirit, it can kill me with a single slash. Kill me. Kill Wan Changkong. Save the bamboo hall. The tree devil's heart was filled with pleading. However, the gigantic ancestral bamboo body stepped on the golden ground and rushed towards Ning Fan with immense killing intent. Void technique, void embrace. A massive black hole suddenly appeared on the tree devil's gigantic bamboo body. A boundless suction force was generated from the black hole. It sucked in Ning Fan's direction forcefully, sucking the entire sky where Ning Fan was standing into the tree. This technique was an extremely powerful natal ability of the ancestral bamboo. The heart of the bamboo was hollow and it was cultivated into an absolute space for killing. In the past, when the ancestral bamboo was guarding the bamboo hall, he would often use this technique to devour his enemies and refine them into the space inside his body. However, this technique could only be used to kill low-grade cultivators. If a void fragmentation realm cultivator is devoured into the space inside his body, his opponent might break through the space inside his body and attack the vital parts of the ancestral bamboo's body, killing him. The reason why the ancestral bamboo used this technique to attack Ning Fan was not because he wanted to kill him. Instead, he wanted to lure Ning Fan into his body to give him a chance to attack the tree spirit in his body. Since he could not disobey Wan Changkong's order, he had no choice but to attack Ning Fan. He did not want to harm the bamboo hall. That was why he was willing to lure Ning Fan into his body and give him a chance to kill him. After Ning Fan was devoured by the ancestral bamboo, he appeared in the space inside his body. His eyes were filled with thoughts. Originally, he had a way to block this technique and not be devoured by the ancestral bamboo. However, Ning Fan saw through the ancestral bamboo's true intention. He saw through the ancestral bamboo's desire for death. He realized that the ancestral bamboo actually wanted to lure him into his body and give him a chance to kill the tree spirit. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. If you kill me, I will let you devour me and help your reign intent rise to the first grade. If you kill me, I will let you devour me and help your physique improve greatly. Ning Fan stood in the space inside the bamboo. He seemed to be able to hear the ancestral bamboos pleading. This space seemed to contain a divine ability that could gradually melt the physical body and dissipate the primordial spirit of the cultivators who are devoured by it. Inside this space, there were more than 100 ferocious bamboo beasts. Each of them had a void glimpse stage cultivation base. In front of all the ferocious bamboo beasts stood a green-haired old man. He was the ancestral bamboo's tree spirit who had a third heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. Kill. The green-haired old man stood with his hands clasped behind his back and gave a cold command. At the next moment, all of the bamboo beasts turned into rays of light and charged at Ning Fan. Ning Fan held Emperor Xia's sword in his hand. His eyes were as calm as autumn water. He could only use this sword once before his magic power would be depleted. It would be difficult for him to kill the 3 tree spirits with just the power of a single sword strike. However, now that the tree spirit had cooperated with him and was begging for death, his chances of success were extremely high. Since you want to die, I will grant you a grand burial. Chi. 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 Ning Fan took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. At the next moment, he appeared at the center of the bamboo beasts that filled the sky. His eyes were gradually occupied by the sword intent of Emperor Xia's sword, turning into a pure golden color. His movements were extremely fast and his attacks were as fast as lightning. He only used Emperor Xia's sword to kill his enemies without activating any sword light. Every time he swung his sword, a void glimpse stage bamboo beast would definitely die. In just 7 breaths' time, Ning Fan had already killed all the void glimpse stage bamboo beasts. He stepped on his void sea of chi and stood in front of the green-haired old man from afar. The green-haired old man's eyes were cold and bloodthirsty. Deep in his heart, he desired death. His body was like a ghost. As soon as he took a step forward, he immediately vanished. Ning Fan's back immediately had goosebumps. He felt a great sense of danger. Ning Fan knew that the green-haired old man was going to attack him from behind. His speed was terrifyingly fast. Even though he was only at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, his speed was even faster than some cultivators at the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Die! Before Ning Fan could dodge the attack, the green-haired old man had already appeared behind him and pointed a finger at him. As soon as he pointed his finger, 12 golden bamboo swords immediately pierced through Ning Fan's back, penetrating through his body. Bang! After being penetrated by the 12 bamboo swords, Ning Fan's physical body quickly disintegrated, turning into black shadows that dissipated. When his body condensed again, his black robes were filled with bloodstains and blood was seeping out from the corner of his mouth. He tried to avoid the attack of the green-haired old man by using the disintegration of his incarnation. Unfortunately, even if his incarnation turned into nothingness, it could not completely negate all the damage. In the end, he was still injured. As a 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, this tree spirit is indeed very strong. Even if I activate the void ignition technique to the 5th flap of the butterfly flame, I still can't hurt him. If this person didn't willingly lead me into his body, it would be very difficult for me to get close to him, let alone kill him. I'm not a match for this person. Under normal circumstances, unless I attain the void fragmentation realm, I have no chance of winning against him. However, now that I'm holding Emperor Xia's sword, I have a feeling in my heart. There is nothing in this world that I can't cut. There is no enemy in this world that I can't eliminate. All the gods and devils in the heavens are just ants. If I break my sword, there will be no martial arts in this world. Ning Fan's mind vaguely recalled the scene where the female sword ancestor killed all the gods and devils. He no longer resisted the erosion of the golden sword intent and allowed it to invade his sea of consciousness. Inside his sword consciousness, a layer of golden color began to appear. That golden color was all of the sword intent in Emperor Xia's sword. This sword intent was too overbearing. As soon as it invaded Ning Fan's sea of consciousness, it immediately devoured all of the immortal trapping sword intent that he cultivated and used it to strengthen the golden sword intent. One loss, one gain. The entire ocean that had lost the immortal trapping sword intent obtained a spring of Emperor Xia's sword intent. The quantity of the sword intent had decreased but its destructive power had greatly increased. Kill. A ray of green light flashed. The green-haired old man once again approached Ning Fan's back like a ghost and pointed at him. 12 bamboo sword lights slashed at Ning Fan's back. However, at this moment, Ning Fan neither dodged nor defended himself. Without turning his head, he shouted coldly, "Get lost." As soon as he uttered that word, a trace of Emperor Xia's sword intent automatically protected his body. None of the 12 sword lights could reach Ning Fan. When they were 3 inches away from Ning Fan's back, all of them broke into 2 and were destroyed. The sword broke only because of fear. The sword broke only because of fear. This Emperor Xia's sword intent was created by the rogue immortal sword cultivator who used to own this sword. It imitated the sword intent of the sword ancestor. Even though this sword intent was far inferior to the sword ancestor's sword intent, it contained a trace of the sword ancestor's might. What sword in this world dares to slash the sword ancestor? Perhaps a void fragmentation realm sword cultivator who purely cultivated the sword could ignore this weak sword ancestor's might and injure Ning Fan with his sword. However, the green-haired old man was not a pure sword cultivator. Sword techniques were not his forte. Don't even think about sneaking an attack on Ning Fan with this technique. The green-haired old man's body flashed and he had already retreated 10,000 li away. Ning Fan turned around and looked at the green-haired old man from afar. This green-haired old man willingly led him into his body and only used the abilities that he was not good at to fight him. As for Ning Fan, he had the help of the 5 sword spirits to control the Emperor Xia's sword and even exchanged the immortal trapping sword intent for the Emperor Xia's sword intent. If he still could not kill the tree spirit under such circumstances, he would certainly die in its hands. It was the will of heaven. Kill. The green-haired old man took a step forward and his figure disappeared once again. At the next moment, 100 green-haired old men suddenly appeared in the vast sky around Ning Fan. It was actually him who split himself into 100. All of the green-haired old men raised their hands at the same time and pointed at Ning Fan. Countless sword lights from the bamboo swords slashed down, but Ning Fan was not afraid at all. The green-haired old man had purposely given in to Ning Fan. He only wanted to die, so he purposely attacked Ning Fan with abilities that could not harm him. Golden light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. With just a glance, all the bamboo swords in the sky were destroyed. At the same time, he raised his hand and held up the Emperor Xia's sword. He made a hand seal and the sword immediately split into 100 golden sword lights, slashing at the green-haired old men. In just an instant, the golden sword lights crossed an immeasurable distance and slashed at the bodies of the green-haired old men one after another. Metal was the bane of wood. Moreover, this sword attack was the shadow clone of the Emperor Xia's sword. With just a single strike, the blood of the green-haired old men splattered across the vast sky. They were all killed by the sword shadows. Ning Fan stood in the void. All of his magic power had been depleted. 3 zhang away from him, the green light slowly condensed into the illusory figure of a green-haired old man. It was none other than the tree spirit who was on the verge of death. "Kill me," the old man begged. "As you wish." Ning Fan raised his hand and slashed the green-haired old man into 2. Dense baleful qi surrounded Ning Fan's body. "Thank you," the green-haired old man's last words of gratitude slowly faded away. Eventually, it could no longer be heard. In front of Ning Fan, a dark green fruit was slowly taking shape. It was not a Dao fruit but a fruit that was formed from the spiritual body of the tree spirit. As he was grateful to Ning Fan for sending him to his death, he turned the power of his spiritual body into a fruit before he died and gifted it to Ning Fan. This fruit was extremely similar to the tree god fruit. However, the energy it contained was incomparable to the latter. It was also not the tree ancestor fruit. The energy contained in this fruit was equivalent to 1,000 tree ancestor fruits. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with passion. If he devours this fruit, his reign in 10th realm would break through to the next grade. He flicked his sleeve and kept the fruit. Then, he raised his hand and slashed the void space, escaping from the body of the tree devil. Looking at the gigantic body of the ancestral bamboo, his eyes were filled with passion again. If he devours the entire ancestral bamboo, his minor 5 elements body would receive a great improvement. You actually killed a tree devil at the 3rd destruction realm all by yourself? When Teng Xianro saw Ning Fan break free, the withered ancestral bamboo and the fresh baleful qi on his body, she was incomparably shocked. She had guessed that Ning Fan was extremely strong countless times, but she had never thought that he had the strength to kill a tree devil at the 3rd destruction realm. How could he be so strong? Could it be that his true cultivation base is not at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm but the 4th or 5th heavenly layer? Chapter 600. The more Teng Xianro thought about it, the more she thought that Ning Fan was a 4th or 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator who was hiding his cultivation base. Ji Hua and the other 4 spiritual puppets, on the other hand, remained silent. They did not say much. When they saw Ning Fan escaping from Zhu Zhu's body, they immediately stood by his side to guard him, looking extremely loyal. Ning Fan's gaze swept across the 5 heavenly tribulation puppets and shifted to Zhu Zhu. Then, he closed his eyes with a sigh. The puppetry technique was truly a cruel technique. Whether it was Sun Yu, the Bai Li King, Ling Zhu, or the tree spirit, all of them were willing to die to be freed after becoming living puppets. Wan Changkong was a cruel man. He slaughtered countless tree clansmen, refined countless living puppets, and made countless cultivators beg for death. Ning Fan knew that he was also a cruel person. The number of people he had killed was definitely not less than Wan Changkong. When he subdued the puppets, he was certainly not as merciful as Wan Changkong. I am not a kind person. Although I know that the puppet technique is cruel, I have no choice but to use it. In terms of killing people like scything flax, I was very similar to Wan Changkong. However, there's one thing that I'm different from Wan Changkong. Although he had killed countless people and taken in many puppets, the people he had killed along the way were either provocateurs or enemies of the Great Tao. He had a clear conscience. He was willing to help Sun Yu and the others escape death not because he was kind. He did not like Wan Changkong's way of doing things. If they were enemies, he would just kill them. If he took pleasure in killing, it would be beneath him. When Ning Fan recalled how the Ming Luo clan was massacred 10,000 years ago, he gradually became determined to kill Wan Changkong. When he thought about how he was trapped in this golden world, he would never let Wan Changkong go. From Zhu Hong's memories, Ning Fan had already learned that the Vine Sovereign had sent out countless troops to destroy the bamboo hall in the outside world. The Vine Sovereign had also come. It wasn't that Ning Fan wasn't angry when the Vine Sovereign's subordinates chased after him all the way. Whether the Vine Palace destroys the Bamboo Palace or not originally had nothing to do with Ning Fan. However, now that Ning Fan had destroyed the tree spirit of the ancestral bamboo and stood against Wan Changkong, he even became enemies with the Vine Sovereign. It was difficult for him to avoid the calamity that was about to befall the Eastern Tree Sea. Since there was no way to avoid it, there was no point in avoiding it. Everyone, attack this golden space. Don't try to break it, just try to weaken the power of the seal. Once my magic power is restored, I will personally break the seal of this world. After giving the order, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and kept the entire trunk of the ancestral bamboo into his storage pouch. The ancestral bamboo had already withered and died, there was no way to save it. If Ning Fan devours the entire ancestral bamboo, his wood elemental physique would certainly improve tremendously. He still had the ancestral bamboo fruit on him. If he ate it, Yui would definitely break through to the next grade. Both of them were of great use to Ning Fan. However, refining them was not something that could be done in a short period of time. At this very moment, Ning Fan was still trapped in the golden world. The most important thing for him to do right now was to get out of it as soon as possible. He did not have the time to refine the two heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures. He took a few pills to recover his magic power and began to adjust his breathing. Although the sword of Emperor Xia was powerful, it had used up all of his powers with just one strike. Ting Xianrou and the 5 snakes obeyed Ning Fan's orders. Each of them stood in a corner and activated their abilities to attack the spatial barrier of the golden world. Time passed bit by bit. Ning Fan's magic power was recovering rapidly while Ting Xianrou and the others were weakening the spatial barrier of this place bit by bit. In the bamboo world, Wan Changkong had already unsealed 2 of the Sinli. He was urging the group of living puppets to speed up the process of unsealing the 3rd Sinli. He stood proudly at the peak of the golden bamboo mountain. 2 gigantic demon birds were flying in the sky above him. Both of them were Sinli. One of them was a gigantic bird that looked like a purple-black fire phoenix. It had 4 purple fiery tail wings and only 1 eye. The other one was a strange ghost bird that only had a white skeleton left. Its body was surrounded by ominous purple-black flames. Both of them were at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Both of them had different appearances. Fu Li was originally a demon bird that was transformed from those people who refused to submit to death. In the beginning, the appearance of Fu Li was varied. Thus, they did not have a uniform appearance. Some of them looked like phoenixes and vultures while some looked like sparrows and falcons. The Sinli was a Fu Li that had betrayed its clan and lost its bloodline. Thus, their appearances were naturally different. There was only one constant characteristic of the Fu Li and the Sinli. In the ancient times, the Fu Li was the messenger of the heavenly Tao. Their bodies carried an extremely auspicious qi. After the great calamity of the 3 clans, the Fu Li was despised by the heavenly Tao. Their luck turned black and they carried an evil and ominous qi. Both of these gigantic beasts of the Sinli gave off an extremely ominous qi. The eyes of the 2 beasts were blood red. They stood respectfully beside Wan Changkong. Their expressions showed that they would obey every order of Wan Changkong. After these 2 beasts were unsealed, Wan Changkong had forcefully subdued them by paying a huge price and refined them into living puppets. Subduing the 1st Sinli extinguished one of my life lamps. Subduing the 2nd Sinli extinguished my 2nd life lamp. Subduing the 2 Sinli that had broken through to the 3rd level only used up one of my life lamps each. It was because these 2 Sinli had been suppressed for many years. They had just broken through their seals and had yet to fully recover their strength. Thus, I took advantage of them. Back then, when I subdued the ancestral bamboo tree spirit of the bamboo palace, I used up 2 of my life lamps. That price was truly huge. Every member of the Mournful Death clan is born with 7 life lamps. They can be used when they are subduing a puppet that has a higher cultivation base than them. Every time a life lamp is used, there will be 1 less lamp left. I still have 3 life lamps in my body. I wonder if they are enough to subdue the remaining 2 Sinli. At this moment, Wan Changkong looked extremely haggard. After extinguishing 2 life lamps in a row, he must have consumed a lot of energy. While he was taking pills to regulate his breath, recovering his complexion a little, he was staring at the grand formation of the bamboo realm without blinking. Time passed bit by bit. The difficulty of unsealing the 3rd Sinli was extremely high. This 3rd Sinli had a cultivation base of the 4th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Its temperament was also very violent. During the process of breaking through the seal, it did not cooperate with the living puppets. Occasionally, it would resist and kill a few living puppets, feeling great satisfaction. Humph. This beast really doesn't know how to appreciate favors. I helped it to break through the seal, but it still dared to hinder me from doing so. When this beast breaks through the seal, I will certainly teach it a good lesson and refine it into a living puppet. I will make it beg for death. Wan Changkong snorted coldly. Once his aura had fully recovered, he personally took action and unsealed the formation with all his might. After Wan Changkong personally took action, the third Sin Li gradually broke out of its seal. A bloodthirsty cry spread out of the bamboo world, into the golden world, and throughout Jishui city. Not good. The third Sin Li was unsealed. A cultivation base at the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Lu Haoyue, who was fighting the Vine Sovereign and old monster heavenly bird, turned grim. Ha! The third evil Li had already been unsealed and its cultivation base was at the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Good, very good. When the last nefarious beast is unsealed, you, Lu Haoyue, and the bamboo sovereign will definitely die. The Vine Sovereign smiled proudly. In the golden world, Ning Fan had already recovered 20 to 30% of his magic power. He was using his wind mist technique to break the seal of this world. When Ning Fan heard the sound of the third evil Li breaking the seal, his expression became rather unpleasant. The third Niali has been unsealed. Moreover, it's at the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. This third Sin Li is also hostile towards me. I have to break the seal as soon as possible. In the bamboo world, the third evil Li broke the gigantic seal on the ground and soared into the sky. It was a giant bird with 9 heads. It had 12 pairs of amethyst bone wings and 3 legs. Seeing that the third Fu Li had broken the seal and was trying to escape from this world, Wan Changkong sneered. He raised his right hand and produced countless silver threads. After forming a hand seal with his left hand, he stretched out his palm. All of a sudden, a black lamp with silver flames appeared above his palm out of nowhere. This is my 5th life lamp. After this lamp is used, there will only be 2 left. Since the third evil Li has just broken the seal and its chi is still in a mess, I will subdue it in one go. If I wait for its demon power to flow smoothly, it will be impossible for me to subdue it without consuming 2 or 3 life lamps. Life lamp, extinguish. The 5th life lamp suddenly extinguished. The silver threads that Wan Changkong summoned immediately turned into countless silver chains that were tens of zhang thick. Each of them had a hook on it and pierced into the 9-headed evil Li. The 9-headed evil Li had just broken the seal and was still in ecstasy. Suddenly, it was sneakily attacked by the silver chains. It let out a miserable cry and its demon soul began to dissipate. Its eyes gradually became hollow. Wan Changkong's face turned pale rapidly. He tried his best to control the silver chains and locked the 9-headed evil Li tightly. After an hour, the 9-headed evil Li was finally subdued by Wan Changkong and refined into a life puppet. At this moment, Wan Changkong had almost exhausted all his magic power. He was extremely exhausted. This is my first time subduing the 4-life puppet and it's actually so difficult. The last evil Li is at the 5-life puppet realm. I think it will be even more difficult to subdue it. With my first life puppet realm cultivation base, I'm afraid it won't be enough to subdue the 5-life puppet realm. I might have to give up the last 2 life lamps. However, it's still worth it. As long as I can subdue the last 5-life puppet realm, I will be able to do whatever I want in the tree world with just this 5-life puppet realm. With my divine power and the help of the 4 evil Li, even the Vine Sovereign won't be my match. Of course, the Vine Sovereign has the backing of the 3 Worlds sect. Naturally, I won't dare to touch her. Hehe, if that's not the case, why would I cooperate with her? If I can eliminate the 3 sovereigns of the tree world by myself and dominate the tree world, wouldn't it be even more satisfying to turn all the cultivators into my puppets? Wan Changkong consumed another pill to recover his magic power. There were 3 evil Li flying beside him. Each of them was obedient to him. The corner of his mouth curled into a cold smile as he hastened the process of unsealing the 4th evil Li. As long as I can unseal and subdue the 4th evil Li, even if Liu Bei knows the Black Moon divine ability, he won't be my match. When I bring the 4 evil Li back to Jishui and wipe out the entire bamboo palace, I will be the one to take the credit for destroying the bamboo palace. Time passed by. Wan Changkong had just recovered 10 to 20% of his magic power. He couldn't wait to personally unseal the 4th evil Li. The 4th evil Li seemed to be extremely docile, unlike the previous 3 evil Li that were ferocious. It didn't resist or interfere with the unsealing process. It was quietly waiting for the moment to break the seal, making the process very smooth. Wan Changkong couldn't help but be overjoyed when he saw that there was only 1 seal left before he could unseal the 4th evil Li. The heavens are helping me. This 4th evil Li isn't a ferocious creature. The difficulty of subduing it should be much lower. Perhaps I just need to use one of my life lamps to subdue it. Just as Wan Changkong was imagining the scene of him controlling the 4 evil Li and wiping out the entire tree world, a huge golden hole suddenly appeared in the sky of the bamboo world. The opening of the huge hole was surrounded by golden-purple mist that could corrode everything. Ning Fan, who was dressed in black, took a step out of the golden space. Chapter 601. At the mouth of the huge hole, there was a purplish gold mist that could corrode everything. Ning Fan, who was dressed in black, took a step out of the golden space. Ting Xianrou and Wu Enai followed him out of the space, but Demonic Tree, Bai Li King, Ling Zhu, and the others weren't there. I can't believe you broke the sealing magic of a 6th demolisher. Looks like I've underestimated you. Where were Tree Spirit, Ling Zhu, Bai Li, and Sun Yu? Why haven't you come out of the sealed space yet? All of you quickly help this old man block Liu Bei. This old man is busy unsealing the 4th Sini Li. I don't have the time to pay attention to this person. Wan Changkong shouted in the direction of the golden space. He wanted to order Tree Spirit and the others to walk out of the golden space and kill Ning Fan. Unfortunately, the Tree Spirit and the other living puppets didn't come out even after the gap in the golden space was completely healed. Wan Changkong's expression changed. He suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out a puppet natal chart. This life chart would automatically record the soul imprints of all the living beings he subdued. At this moment, the soul imprints of Sun Yu, Bai Li, Ling Zhu, and Tree Spirit had disappeared. Impossible. The living puppets I put into the golden space are all dead. Dead. All the living puppets in the golden space were dead. Not only that, all of these living puppets were killed by Ning Fan. The ferocious qi that lingered on Ning Fan's body explained everything. Liu Bei. Even with the help of Ting Xianrou and the 5 soul-shattering puppets, you're just a little kid at the Grand Void Realm. What was going on? Could it be? Wan Changkong suddenly became alert. With my cultivation base at the 1st heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm, I can cultivate 12 Void Fragmentation Realm clones. I can also use the Life Puppet technique to subdue the 3rd and 4th heavenly layers of Void Fragmentation Realm. Why couldn't Liu Bei kill the 3 tree spirits when he learned the Black Moon Divine Art? Black Moon Divine Ability. Yes, it must be the Black Moon Divine Ability. Without this ability, no matter how heaven-defying Ning Fan is, it would be impossible for him to kill the 3 tree spirits with just his absolute void stage cultivation base. What exactly was the Black Moon Divine Art? At this moment, Wan Changkong's magic power had yet to recover. Besides, he was afraid of Ning Fan's Black Moon Divine Ability. Thus, he naturally did not dare to face Ning Fan head-on. He cast a sidelong glance at the 3-headed evil Li Shengho and suddenly sneered. Why should I be afraid of Liu Bei? I still have 3 vile life puppets by my side. It's truly a piece of cake to kill this kid. Everyone, heed my command. Kill Liu Bei. Screech. What answered Wan Changkong was the bloodthirsty and ferocious cries of the 3 evil Li. These 3 Sin Li became Wan Changkong's puppets. Even if they were unwilling, they had to obey Wan Changkong's orders. As for the matter of killing Ning Fan, the three evil creatures were all willing to do it. It coincided with Wan Changkong's wish. They had once betrayed the Fu Li race and their bloodline was crippled by the Fu Li race, turning them into the Sin Li race's slaves. Nia Li's lifespan would never end, he would be the Fu Li race's slave for generations to come, he would never have the chance to reincarnate. If he died, he would turn into ashes. They were unrepentant and hated the Fu Li clan to the core. After being sealed for countless years, they sensed a trace of Fu Li Qi from Ning Fan and directly transferred the hatred they had accumulated for countless years onto Ning Fan. Kill him. He is from the Fu Li race. Kill him. Kill him. His aura disgusts us. Kill him. Kill. 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 The fire phoenix Niali, the white bone Niali and the nine-headed Niali flapped their wings and dashed towards Ning Fan's group. They only had one thought in their minds and that was to kill Ning Fan. Even though they were inflicted with the Sin Seal, they did not think that Ning Fan, a member of the Fu Li race, had the ability to control the Sin Seal. Only the members of the Fu Li race who were above the royal family could control the Sin Seal and kill those who disobeyed their orders. Only the Fu Li race who had the ancestral bloodline could remove the Sin Seal and revive them. How could the three of them know that Ning Fan had the bloodline power to activate the Sin Seal in their bodies? The three beasts should feel unfortunate because the person standing in front of them was a Fu Li with the ancestral bloodline. They should feel lucky that Ning Fan had yet to obtain the complete inheritance of the Fu Li race. Thus, he did not know about the sin-expelling seal and the method to remove it. Ning Fan took a deep breath. He had the supreme bloodline of the Fu Li race but he did not know how to use the secret techniques and abilities of the Fu Li race. He also did not know how to use the Sin Seal to kill the three savage Niali. Fortunately, his bloodline was extremely strong. If he completely unleashed the bloodline aura force of the 4 drops of ancestral blood, even if he could not kill the 3 Niali with the Sin Seal, he could still greatly weaken their strength. It was just like what Little Sable did in the past. He could greatly weaken the cultivation bases of the ghosts in the demon sinister forest just by relying on his ghost-restraining aura force. I have only recovered 20 to 30% of my magic power. I wonder if it's enough for me to use Emperor Xia's sword again. Even though my bloodline is strong, I don't know how much it can suppress the cultivation bases of these 3 Niali. I don't have the confidence to win the battle against these 3 Niali. However, since I can't avoid this battle, there's no need for me to avoid it. In Ning Fan's left eye, the 2 purple-black demon stars shone with a faint demonic light. The aura force of his bloodline slowly rose. As long as he fully unleashed it, he would certainly be able to weaken the strength of the 3 Niali race. If he could not avoid his destiny, he would fight against it. If he could not avoid his death, he would turn into a devil. With the might of my Fu Li ancestral blood, I hereby command all of you. Before Ning Fan could finish his words and release his aura force, the entire bamboo world suddenly let out a loud bang and shook violently. On the ground, a purple-black light flashed. A semicircular shadow of a purple-black ring suddenly shone on the ground. Circles of purple-black ripples spread across the bamboo world. As soon as the halo appeared, the grand formation of the bamboo world suddenly shattered. All of the bamboo mountains collapsed. Shrieked that the 4th Niali had broken its seal. This cry did not reveal any hostility towards Ning Fan. Instead, it sounded like it was submitting to him. This cry was extremely similar to the sorrowful cry that Ning Fan had heard in the past. The 4th Niali has actually broken its seal by itself. Wan Changkong was overjoyed. He summoned 2 life lamps and extinguished both of them. He then raised his hand and summoned countless silver chains. Then, he directly threw them at the 4th Niali. Unbeknownst to him, the moment the 4th Niali appeared, the eyes of the other 3 Niali which had been reduced to living puppets actually revealed a hint of fear. The cultivation base of the 4th Niali was at the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. It was an unusually beautiful gigantic peacock with purple eyes and black feathers. Its purple eyes were like gems. They were even brighter than the stars in the sky. Its black feathers were as beautiful as black crystals. Under the sunlight, they shone with a strange radiance. Its body was giving off an extremely ominous chi. It was like a vengeful undead spirit from the netherworld. Its purple eyes were brighter than the eyes of any woman. When it saw the silver chains that filled the sky, its eyes revealed a hint of disdain. Shrieked that it let out a long cry that sounded like it was mocking Ning Fan. Then, it shook its black feathers and a semicircular shadow of a purple-black ring appeared in the sky once again. The shadow of the ring spread out purple-black ripples. As soon as the ripples touched the silver chains in the sky, they immediately shattered and dissipated. How is this possible? This old man's life puppet technique has always been successful. After sacrificing 2 life lamps, how could it be broken by this evilly beast? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Even if this Nieli is at the 5 shattering realm, it is impossible for it to be this heaven-defying. Wan Changkong did not know the origin of the semicircular shadow of the ring. Naturally, he did not know how the purple-eyed Nieli was able to break his secret technique. However, when Ning Fan's eyes met the shadow of the ring for the first time, he found it hard to shift his gaze away. This is a spirit wheel. The spirit wheel of the Fu Li clan. Even if this spirit wheel is only half complete, the power of its ability is definitely not something that a mere Wan Changkong can imagine. With this semicircular spirit wheel, this Nieli was very strong. Extremely strong. Even though it was at the 5 shattering realm, some cultivators at the 6 shattering realm might not necessarily be its match. Shrieked that the purple-eyed Nieli flapped its black wings and produced a vast and violent gust of wind, directly killing all the life puppets that Wan Changkong used to break the formation. As for the trace of Wan Changkong's divine sense, it was blown 100,000 li away and was on the verge of death. In a flash, it traveled across a vast distance and appeared in front of Ning Fan. Its back was facing Ning Fan as if it wanted to protect him. Then, it flapped its black wings at the other 3 Nieli whose eyes were filled with fear. Huff the purple-black gust of wind also blew the other 3 Nieli 100,000 li away. Each of them was severely injured. They were not a match for the purple-eyed Nieli at all. Facing the purple-eyed Nieli, Ning Fan had a strange feeling. This purple-eyed Nieli did not know how to speak. It only knew how to cry. Its sin mark was planted in its throat bone and sea of consciousness. Only by breaking the sin mark could it speak and communicate using spirit sense. Even though it could not speak to Ning Fan, it hummed softly to him obediently. Its cries were filled with friendliness. It wanted to tell Ning Fan that it did not harbor any hostility towards him. If that was the case, it would still be fine. However, it suddenly retracted its wings and prostrated itself in Ning Fan's direction. It was obviously expressing its submission. Before Ning Fan could react, the little purple-eyed peacock directly lifted its head and placed Ning Fan on its head. Then, it carried Ning Fan and neighed obediently. It was asking Ning Fan to ride it and take it as his mount. Ning Fan's eyes gradually turned gentle. He squatted down and stroked the fur on the top of the purple-eyed Nieli's head. Its black and glossy fur was much softer and smoother than the black hair of a woman. It felt very comfortable to touch. "You want to submit to me?" "Why?" Ning Fan asked in a low voice. Shrieked that the only thing that answered Ning Fan was a sorrowful cry. It was as if it had thousands of words to tell Ning Fan but it could not say them. "I can't say them." The sin mark cannot be spoken. She had been waiting for a Fu Li with the royal bloodline to appear. However, she did not expect that a Fu Li with the ancestral bloodline would appear instead. So, after so many years, the Fu Li still existed in this world? Moreover, the Fu Li with the ancestral bloodline still exists. The Fu Li has yet to be annihilated. This is really great. Ning Fan was the last member of the Fu Li clan. She would certainly protect him and protect the Fu Li bloodline, How is this possible? Wan Changkong was shocked. He could not understand how Ning Fan could subdue the Niali who was at the 5 shattering realms so easily. Black Moon Divine Ability. It must be the Black Moon Divine Ability. His life puppet technique was unable to subdue these 5 evil puppets, but Ning Fan's Black Moon Divine Ability was able to subdue them. This is bad. This Liu Bei's Black Moon Divine Ability is too powerful. Now that he has the help of the 5 shattering evil Li, how can I be his match? Run. I must run. I must rendezvous with the Vine Sovereign first. Wan Changkong had already seen how strong the purple-eyed Niali was. His face was filled with fear. He immediately gave the 3-headed Niali an order and led it towards the exit of the bamboo world. You want to leave? Don't you think it's a little too late? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent. Even though he did not know why the purple-eyed Niali had submitted to him, he could tell that it did not have any evil intentions towards him. It only wanted to protect him. It had submitted to him wholeheartedly. It was enough for him to know this. If it was before, Ning Fan would still be a little afraid of Wan Changkong and the 3-headed Niali. Now, however, he had the purple-eyed Niali's help. Why would he be afraid of Wan Changkong? Go! Let's go after Wan Changkong. Ning Fan beckoned to Ting Xianro and the 5 divine beasts, signaling them to get on the purple-eyed Niali and pursue Wan Changkong. The speed of this purple-eyed little peacock was extraordinary. It was probably 3 times faster than an ordinary 6 shattering realm cultivator. What surprised Ning Fan was that when Ting Xianro and the others wanted to get on the purple-eyed Niali's body, they were rejected by her. She gave off a strong gust of wind and blew them away. She was extremely arrogant. Allowing Ning Fan to ride her alone was already her limit. She would not allow anyone else to ride her. This. Forget it. You have been heavily injured from the battle with the tree demon. Come back and heal yourself first. Ning Fan seemed to have seen through her emotions. He kept Ting Xianro into his cauldron ring and the 5 puppets away. Since the purple-eyed Niali was unwilling to let others ride her, Ning Fan would give her some basic respect. With purple-eyed Evil Li's help, the injured Ting Xianro and Wu Enai didn't need to be sent out to fight for now. On the battlefield in the outside world, even the Vine Sovereign might not be a match for purple-eyed Evil Li. Let's go. It's just the 2 of us. Let's go after Wan Changkong. Shriek. The little purple-eyed peacock chirped obediently. Carrying Ning Fan on its back, it swirled up a purple-black demonic wind which made his face hurt. With just one swirl, they had already rushed out of the bamboo world. With another swirl, they had already passed through the void tunnel and appeared outside the eye of the void wind. Wan Changkong and the 3-headed evil beast had only just escaped from the eye of the void. As soon as Wan Changkong saw Ning Fan chasing after him on the Sinli beast, he was nearly scared to death. His embarrassment turned into anger as he yelled. Liu Bei. Why are you chasing after me? You already know the answer. Kill. Ning Fan touched his glabella. The Separation Slayer sword appeared in his hand and he pointed it at Wan Changkong from afar. As for the purple-eyed evil beast, it carried Ning Fan and dashed towards Wan Changkong's direction. That terrifying speed was not something that Wan Changkong could imagine or defend against. Not good. Currently, Wan Changkong could barely maintain his magic power. After fleeing for his life in a hurry, his magic power had almost been depleted. How could he withstand the destructive power of Ning Fan's sword? Purple light flashed and the sword light slashed vertically, splitting the sky into 2 halves. Then, one of Wan Changkong's divine incarnations was slashed vertically from the top of his skull. His physical body was forcefully split into 2 halves and he died on the spot. Dead. Wan Changkong's corpse was blown away by the void wind and suppressed by the sword light. Like a meteor, it fell from the sky. As soon as the 3-headed evil beast saw Wan Changkong's divine incarnation fall, it was greatly shocked and immediately fled downwards. How would it dare to fight against Ning Fan? The speed of the three-headed evil beast escaping by burning its demon souls was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. While they were trying to escape on the ground, they also launched a series of attacks towards the sky, trying to stop Ning Fan and the purple-eyed evil beast from chasing after them. In Jishui City below, Lu Haoyue had already fallen into a bitter battle. Even though the Bamboo Sovereign had the help of 6 Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Lu Palace, he was still on the verge of death under the joint attack of 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts. The Bamboo Sovereign's eyes were filled with despair. That despair was because the 4th evil beast had already been unsealed. Currently, he was no longer a match for the Vine Sovereign and the others. After the 4th evil beast joined the battle, the Vine Sovereign's side would gain the upper hand. Lu Haoyue's face was also as gloomy as still water. Currently, he had suffered many injuries on his body. However, he was still able to resist the joint attacks of the Vine Sovereign and the 2 Void Fragmentation Realm experts on his own. However, he was well aware that he could still deal with 2 Void Fragmentation Realm experts. If a 3rd Void Fragmentation Realm expert comes, he would certainly die in the hands of the Vine Sovereign. Lu Haoyue, I respect you for being a man. If you obediently allow me to plant a restriction on you and take you as my servant and guard, I can let you go and only kill the Bamboo Sovereign. I will spare your life. The Vine Sovereign tried to attack his mind. Ha! I don't mind dying, but I will never kneel and beg for mercy. Lu Haoyue raised his head and laughed hysterically. You're courting death. All 4 evil beasts have been unsealed. Since you are so stubborn, the moment the 4 evil beasts descend upon you will be the moment of your death. The Vine Sovereign sneered. My divine clone has successfully unsealed the evil beasts. All of you no longer have the power to reverse the situation. Why don't you just accept your fate and accept your death? At least, you won't die too badly. All 10 of Wan Changkong's divine clones sneered. At this moment, a heavy object that carried boundless bloody aura was carried by the void wind and sword qi. It fell from the sky and landed on the ground of Jishui City, creating a 10,000 zhang large pit. When Wan Changkong saw the object that fell from the pit, he could no longer laugh. Instead, he was filled with rage and shock. The Vine Sovereign was also shocked when she saw the object that fell from the sky. It was because the object that fell into Jishui City was actually the corpse of Wan Changkong's divine clone that was split into 2. Wan Changkong's divine clone that was responsible for unsealing the evil beasts was actually killed by someone with a single slash. Who is so audacious to actually kill Wan Changkong's divine clone? Before the Vine Sovereign could figure out what was going on, 3 rays of purplish-black light descended from the sky. They were fleeing for their lives in fear. The 3 rays of light that were fleeing were actually 3 evil beasts. Each of them had a powerful cultivation base at the 3rd or 4th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. Why were they fleeing for their lives? Behind the 3 rays of light, there was another ray of light that was chasing after them. It was a black-robed young man. His eyes were as cold as a devil's. He stood proudly on the head of the ferocious evil beast and was chasing after the 3 evil beasts. How is this possible? The Bamboo Sovereign was shocked. He recognized that the black-robed young man was none other than Ning Fan. Ning Fan, who he used to look down upon, was currently crushing the evil beasts that were at the 5th heavenly layer and chasing after the 3 evil beasts that were at the 3rd and 4th heavenly layer. It's him. Brother Ning. He really exceeds my expectations time and time again. Lu Haoyue laughed heartily. His laughter was extremely carefree. He could vaguely guess that Wan Changkong's clone was killed by Ning Fan. He also knew that Ning Fan and the Vine Sovereign had a grudge that would never end until one of them dies. Even though he did not know how Ning Fan managed to subdue a broken 5 evil beast as his helper, his arrival was definitely the biggest variable in the great calamity of the Eastern Tree Sea today. If he comes, he will certainly become the Vine Sovereign's enemy. If he joins forces with the Bamboo and Willow Palaces, they will certainly be able to turn the situation around. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. My old friend did not deceive me. Liu Bei. Liu Bei. Liu Bei. Why did you come here? Why did you come and obstruct my great plan? The helper of the broken 5 evil beasts that the Vine Sovereign had been looking forward to for a long time was subdued by Ning Fan and used as his mount to hunt down the other evil beasts. How could the Vine Sovereign not be angry? If he has the help of the broken 5 evil beast, he could destroy the bamboo and willow palaces and unify the entire tree world. However, the broken 5 evil beast had turned against Ning Fan and willow palaces and turned against him. Without a doubt, Ning Fan would definitely join forces with the bamboo and willow palaces to attack the Vine Palace. What are you doing here? What exactly do you want to do by coming here? The Vine Sovereign was filled with anger. When she recalled Du Yu's death, she hated Ning Fan even more and wished that she could kill him on the spot. Facing the Vine Sovereign's anger, Ning Fan just said coldly, I came here to send you to your death. Sending the monarch to his death. Sending you to your death. Today, all the grudges in the past will be settled. From today onwards, the Vine Palace will no longer have a Vine Sovereign. How? How could this be? In Jishui City, Tang Yuan was hiding under the protection of the Fusang clan, avoiding the attacks of the wild creatures in the city. Her current position was right below Ning Fan. In the past, she despised Ning Fan and said that he was a coward who was afraid of Bai Li King. However, the current Ning Fan was not even afraid of the Vine Palace. He even dared to fight the Vine Sovereign when the Bamboo Palace was in danger. He was not a coward. He just disdained taking unnecessary risks. He was not weak. If he gets angry, he would even dare to fight the Vine Sovereign. This is the real him. I was mistaken. Tang Yuan let out a faint sigh. No wonder he always looked at me with disdain. That's right. Why should he take a second look at a short-sighted, unruly and willful woman like me? Even the divine sovereign of the tree world like the Vine Sovereign was not worthy of his attention. I'm sorry. I'm willing to make up for my previous offense. I just hope that you can save the Bamboo Palace and the Eastern Tree Sea. Tang Yuan prayed silently. Chapter 602. Early in the morning, Ning Fan left Jishui City with the Bamboo Sovereign. When he arrived again, it was already night time. He stepped on the Purple Eyes evil creature and spread his divine sense far and wide in Jishui. In the entire Jishui city, countless cultivators were killed or injured. There were cultivators or living puppets dying every second. Not only Jishui city but the entire Muyi country was also in chaos. The air was filled with dense baleful qi and sorrow. In this catastrophe, no one knew how many people in the Eastern Tree Sea died with hatred and how many people killed their friends and relatives with their bodies as living puppets. Ning Fan had always been a cold person. If it was in the past, he would certainly not care about the deaths and tribulations of others, let alone get involved in unimportant matters. But this time, he was determined to intervene in this war and wade into the muddy waters. He promised to take care of the Nether Luo clan for Mu Luo. He must avenge Wan Changkong's massacre. He had been hunted by the Vine Palace for a long time. Today was the day to retaliate. He had once obtained Yu Huang's help to refine the natal blood rain of ancestor Yu. Even though Yu Huang did something bad out of good intentions, he still owed him a favor after all. Yu Huang was the former Bamboo Sovereign and the Bamboo Palace would be destroyed in an instant. Ning Fan did not have a good impression of the Bamboo Palace but he could not just stand by and watch the calamity of the Bamboo Palace. Moreover, he was touched by those who he had never met before. He was touched by the grief of those living puppets who begged for death but could not. At this moment, Ning Fan felt like he could hear thousands of sorrowful cries. Who can kill me? Who can kill Wan Changkong? Who can free me from this? Liu Bei, you killed my clone and took away the right to control the broken 5 evil separation. I will never forgive you. The 10 silver-haired old men abandoned the bamboo sovereign and the others and suddenly launched an unexpected attack at Ning Fan. They summoned silver threads that were as thin as raindrops that covered the sky. Wan Changkong wanted his 10 clones to directly control Ning Fan as a living puppet and use him to control the broken 5 evil separation. The 10 silver-haired old men secretly gave orders. 3 Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets and 4 Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets of the Vine Palace abandoned the bamboo sovereign and the others and attacked Ning Fan, trying to take him down in one go. The black moon in Ning Fan's left eye flashed. He opened his mouth and breathed out black flames that blotted out the sky, incinerating all the silver threads in the sky. He had secretly enhanced the yin-yang demon fire with the life imprisonment technique, which had a heaven-defying restraining effect on Wan Changkong's life imprisonment thread. Naturally, he was not afraid of the silver thread. Purple-eyed Nieli suddenly opened his mouth and let out a roar. Layers of purple sound waves spread across the vast sky. Carrying destructive power, all 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts were forced backwards. The void magic techniques that were hurled at Ning Fan were forcefully shattered by the purple sound waves. Why is it like this? My life void threads are actually restrained by Liu Bei's devil fire. The 10 silver-haired old men were all greatly shocked. They were not Wan Changkong's true body, but his avatars. They could only faintly sense the death of their clones in the bamboo world, but they were unable to find out what had happened in the bamboo world. Naturally, they were also unaware of the fact that Ning Fan had mastered the life imprisoning technique. Isn't this 5 broken evil fire a little too powerful? With just a roar, it could force 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts to retreat. The Vine Sovereign's eyes were filled with astonishment while old monster Tian Qian's eyes were filled with passion. This 5 broken evil fire was so powerful. If he could devour it, his cultivation base would certainly improve tremendously. Perhaps, he could even break through to the 6th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm in one go. Wan Changkong, the 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts and the 3 life puppet Nieli retreated to the Vine Sovereign and Tian Qian's side. Lu Haoyue, the Bamboo Sovereign and the 6 Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Lu Palace retreated to Ning Fan's side. Thank you, Brother Lu, for lending a helping hand to my Bamboo Palace. If I don't die this time, I will owe Brother Lu a great favor. The Bamboo Sovereign said with mixed feelings. Ha! It's been many years. Do you still remember me, Brother Lu? I didn't expect that we would meet again in this way after we parted ways that day. It's really interesting. Lu Haoyue laughed heartily. Ning Fan cupped his fists at the 2 sovereigns. His expression was neither cold nor warm. Just as he was about to say something, old monster Tian Qian walked out from the Void Fragmentation Realm experts in front of him. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He stood 10,000 zhang away from Ning Fan and spoke to him with an arrogant expression. I am the 4th elder of the 3 Realms sect. My Dao title is Tian Qian Jr. Today's matter of destroying the Bamboo Palace is the intention of my 3 Realms sect. If you help the Bamboo Palace and the Willow Palace to fight against the Vine Palace, you will be making an enemy of my 3 Realms sect. If you are willing to help my Vine Palace and give me the 5 broken evil fire that you have subdued, I will let you off the hook and not hold you accountable for any of your crimes. However, if you insist on becoming an enemy of my 3 Realms sect, I guarantee that you will die a horrible death. 3 Realms sect. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He did not expect that the person in front of him would be old monster Tian Qian of the 3 Realms sect. He also did not expect that the 3 Realms sect would be involved in today's matter. The 3 Realms sect was an alliance of rogue cultivators in the upper 3 realms. It was said that the sect master of the 3 Realms sect was an old monster at the 8th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. The 3 Realms sect was a colossal existence. Ning Fan did not want to offend them. However, he was not willing to help the Vine Palace eliminate the 2 sovereigns, nor was he willing to give the 5 broken evil fire to old monster Tian Qian to devour. If he was unwilling, the Three Realms sect would not be able to force him. Moreover, he disliked old monster Tian Qian's threatening words. So what if you are from the Three Realms sect? You are an elder of the Three Realms sect. I will give you a chance for the sake of the Three Realms sect. If you leave the tree world now, I can spare your life. Spare my life? Humph. How arrogant. Old monster Tian Qian's face turned pale. The Vine Sovereign's eyes darkened. She transmitted a few words to Tian Qian, telling him that Ning Fan had killed Du Yu. Tian Qian's eyes were filled with surprise. Then, he revealed a ferocious smile. You are Liu Bei, right? You killed Du Yu. Hee hee. You are dead meat. Du Yu is a person that the sect master of the Three Realms sect values. Since you have killed him, you will certainly die in the sect master's hands. Just pretend that I did not say what I said just now. Whether you give me the 5 broken evil fire or not, you must die today. Kunli Palace, collect. Old monster Tian Qian summoned a golden palace from afar. The workmanship was very exquisite. Although it was only the size of a palm, it contained tens of thousands of pavilions and terraces. As soon as the golden palace was summoned, it immediately grew in the wind and turned into the size of the entire Jishui city. Its falling momentum became heavier and heavier. A golden vortex appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the golden palace. That golden vortex emitted a boundless suction force as if it wanted to suck Ning Fan into the golden palace. The golden palace was filled with countless killing formations. Even if a cultivator with the 5 broken evil fire was sucked into it, he would certainly be surrounded by danger. This golden vortex looked very familiar. It was very similar to the 6 broken evil fire seal technique that Wan Changkong used to split his consciousness. It was a secret technique that only the Three Realms sect had. It was called the spatial vortex technique. It was an extremely powerful ability that could trap and seal enemies. Ning Fan felt a great sense of danger from the Golden Palace. Naturally, he would not allow Tian Qian to take him away. He gave the purple-eyed evil fire an order and she immediately retaliated against old monster Tian Qian. The purple-eyed evil fire's eyes were filled with anger. She would not allow anyone to hurt Ning Fan because he was the last member of the Fuli clan. She suddenly opened her gigantic beak. Void wind blew in her beak, forming a purple-black void eye. The suction force of that purple-black void eye was a few times stronger than that of the wind eye of the bamboo world. With the help of the suction force of the wind eye, the purple-eyed evil fire opened her mouth and directly swallowed the magic treasure of old monster Tian Qian's Kunli Palace into her stomach. At the moment when the Kunli Palace was swallowed, old monster Tian Qian's expression changed drastically. The trace of spiritual connection between him and the Kunli Palace was directly erased. The Kunli Palace was taken away. How dare you seize my magic treasure? You're courting death. Let's attack together and kill him. Tian Qian was enraged. He led the members of the Vine Palace and charged at Ning Fan. Lu Haoyue and the others also charged at them. Immediately, the scene turned into a chaotic battle. Old monster Tian Qian and the Vine Sovereign were held back by Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign. Ning Fan stepped on the evil fire and seized the opportunity to slaughter the crowd. He stepped on the purple-eyed evil fire and directly dashed towards the 10 clones of Wan Changkong's silver-haired clones. Then, he locked onto all of them with his killing intent. The Vine Sovereign and Tian Qian were both experts at the 5-spirit destruction realm. It was not easy to kill them. As for Wan Changkong, even though his abilities were strange and he had many clones, it was not difficult to kill him. You're courting death. After being locked on by Ning Fan's killing intent, the 10 silver-haired old men were enraged at the same time. The 3 silver-haired old men each leaped onto the body of the evil fire puppet in a flash. Each of them controlled one of the puppets, wanting to fight against Ning Fan. Originally, the evil fire puppet was extremely afraid of the purple-eyed evil fire puppet. It did not dare to fight it. Now, however, with Wan Changkong's 3 clones personally controlling it, the puppet had no choice but to fight against Ning Fan even if it was unwilling to do so. Shrieked at the only eye of the evil fire phoenix shot out a ray of light which turned into a 10,000 zhang large fiery pearl. The fiery pearl was enshrouded with layers of purple-black flames, making it look like a purple-black sun. Then, it flew towards Ning Fan from afar. The white bone evil fire puppet spread its wings. White bone feathers that were even larger than tall buildings shot out like flying locusts. The bone feathers were coated with purple-black poison. A single drop of the poison could easily kill a void refinement realm cultivator. The 9 heads of the evil fire puppet opened their huge mouths and each of them breathed out rays of cold light. The cold ice condensed and turned into 9 purple-black ice mountains which fell from 9 different directions. The destructive power of the 9 mountains falling attack was almost close to the 5 spirit destruction attack. When the 3 attacks were launched together, the 3 silver-haired old men who were standing on the evil fire puppet sneered at the same time. Even the Vine Sovereign and the other Divine Sovereigns might not be able to withstand the joint attack of the evil fire puppet. Even though the 5 spirit destruction evil fire puppet is strong, it might not be a match for me. Just as the 3 silver-haired old men had that thought, their eyes suddenly widened at the next moment. Under the moonlight and in the cold night, Ning Fan stood on the head of the purple-eyed evil fire puppet. His black robes fluttered in the wind. He stared at the attacks of the evil fire puppet without any fear. As for the purple-eyed evil fire puppet beneath his feet, it was filled with disdain and dissatisfaction towards the 3 attacks. There's no need to hold back. Ning Fan only gave an order, but the purple-eyed evil fire puppet understood him tacitly. Her purple eyes glowed with dark purple light. Half of an incomparably massive purple-black ring shadow suddenly appeared in the sky. Within that ring shadow, countless black flame runes suddenly emerged. They were demonic characters that Ning Fan had never seen before. Within that ring shadow, traces of pure black ominous rays of light swept out. Those rays of light seemed as light as cotton. However, once they reach a person, they were as heavy as the falling heavens. They could crush all kinds of divine abilities and magic treasures. With just one sweep of the rays of light, the 3 offensive divine abilities of the Fire Pearl, Bone Feather, and Ice Mountain were all destroyed. The rays of light then swept towards the Fire Phoenix Evil Fire Puppet. With just one sweep, the Fire Phoenix Evil Fire Puppet, which had the cultivation base of the 3 Spirit Destruction Realm, let out a miserable shriek as it was severely injured. When the rays of light swept for the 3rd time, the Fire Phoenix Evil Fire Puppet along with a silver-haired old man on its back turned into ashes. The rays of light swept towards the White Bone Evil Fire Puppet and the 9-headed Evil Fire Puppet. The 2 Evil Fire Puppets suffered severe injuries and were forced to retreat. As for the silver-haired old man on the backs of the 2 beasts, both of them turned into ashes. The rays of light swept towards the Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Vine Palace. Immediately, 2 first heavenly layer Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Vine Palace perished. One of them was even the big-headed boy who had chased after Ning Fan. The rays of light swept towards the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei. The 2 of them were fighting against Lu Haoyue. When they were suddenly swept by the rays of light, there was no way they could dodge in time. The 2 of them hurriedly summoned their profound divinity treasure armor to defend themselves. However, their chests were shattered by the rays of light. Their profound divinity treasure armor was shattered while their ribs were broken. Both of them coughed out blood and were forced to retreat in the vast sky. Every step they took would shatter a part of the sky. How is this possible? The Vine Sovereign's face turned pale with fright. Old monster Tian Fei's eyes were filled with astonishment. Everyone at the scene, be it friend or foe, could not help but feel astonished after witnessing this scene. The destructive power of that purple-eyed evil fire puppet was too terrifying. Her strength was too strong. In just an instant, she had killed one of the 3 Void Fragmentation Realm Evil Fire Puppet, 3 of Wan Changkong's clones and 2 first Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Vine Palace. Even the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei could not withstand the attacks of the purple-eyed evil fire puppet when they hastily put up their defenses. The strength of this purple-eyed evil fire puppet was probably already on par with ordinary 6 Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters. The Vine Sovereign, Tian Fei, Wan Changkong and the Bamboo Sovereign were no match for her in terms of strength. Even Lu Haoyue felt ashamed of his inferiority. At this moment, Ning Fan was controlling the purple-eyed evil fire puppet. His combat power alone was above that of ordinary 5 Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters. After the Fire Phoenix evil fire puppet died, the countless evil seals in her body locked her cultivation base and condensed into 7 purplish-black fruits that were covered with runes. All of them floated towards Ning Fan from afar. The energy contained within each of the fruits was equivalent to a Void Fragmentation Realm Dao fruit. Each of the purplish-black fruits gave off a boundless ominous qi, giving ordinary cultivators a feeling that they would definitely die if they consumed them. These are evil fruits. Ning Fan's expression changed. The so-called sinful fruit was a special Dao fruit that could only be consumed by the Fuli royal family. Those who weren't from the Fuli royal family would suffer a backlash if they consumed it. The so-called Sin Seal could not only seal Niali as a slave, it could also condense Niali's cultivation base into a Sin fruit after his death, using this Sin fruit to raise the cultivation base of the Fuli royal family. At first, Ning Fan did not know what this item was. However, the moment he saw it, the Fuli bloodline in his body heated up. All of a sudden, some memories that were hidden in his ancestral blood appeared in his mind. He flicked his sleeve and took away the 7 sinful fruits without saying anything. He stomped on the purple-eye evil gaze and charged toward the remaining 7 Wan Changkong clones. Purple-eyed evilly activated her monster energy and a half-circle appeared in the sky, releasing endless black multicolored light. When the multicolored light appeared, all the cultivators of the Vine Hall, including the Vine Sovereign, felt their scalps go numb. Wan Changkong. 10,000 years ago, you slaughtered the underworld Luo clan. 10,000 years later, I will kill you here as the underworld Luo Tree Emperor. The coldness in Ning Fan's eyes intensified. All of his pressure was released at this moment. He transmitted the image of this scene into the blood-red paper umbrella and showed it to Qing Dai and the others who were in the umbrella world. He wanted to let the underworld Luo clan see how Wan Changkong's blood splattered across the sky. Shriek. Each time the black multicolored light swept across, it would kill one of Wan Changkong's clones. The second sweep, the third sweep, the fourth sweep, the sixth sweep. Out of the last 7 clones of Wan Changkong, 6 of them had already been killed. Only one of them was left and it was desperately trying to escape. It was already extremely afraid of Ning Fan. At this moment, Wan Changkong no longer had the arrogance he had when he slaughtered the bloody underworld Luo clan 10,000 years ago. At this moment, Wan Changkong was in a panic and looked like a stray dog that had lost its home. Die! Ning Fan did not let the purple-eyed evilly kill the last clone. Instead, he patted his sword pouch and raised his hand, shooting a ray of golden sword light at Wan Changkong's back. That golden sword light was none other than the flying sword light of Emperor Xia's sword. Currently, Ning Fan only had 20 to 30% of his magic power left. He only used 10% of his magic power to activate this sword. The destructive power of this sword attack was only equivalent to the destructive power of one attack. However, the sword's speed was extremely fast, making it impossible for Wan Changkong to dodge it. Just as the last clone of Wan Changkong was trying to escape, a ray of golden sword light suddenly pierced through his back. After the golden sword light pierced through his body, it destroyed everything inside his body wantonly. After a few breaths, Wan Changkong's last clone perished. However, Ning Fan did not feel relaxed at all. He just stared coldly at one of the dark clouds in the night sky. All of a sudden, he flicked his finger and activated Emperor Xia's sword light to slash at that dark cloud. Why aren't you coming out yet? The ray of golden sword light shattered the vast sky. From the shattered space, a 10,000 zhang tall silver-haired giant slowly emerged. This person was none other than Wan Changkong's true body. His body only exuded the magic power chi of the first heavenly layer of Nirvana realm. However, the strength of his physical body was comparable to that of a fifth heavenly layer Nirvana realm cultivator. This person was a puppet. Wan Changkong had refined himself into a puppet and hid in this place. He was secretly controlling the countless living beings of the Eastern Tree Sea to kill each other. He had never expected that Ning Fan would be able to see through his disguise. It's him. It's him. Wan Changkong. In the Umbrella World, all the members of the underworld Luo clan wore sorrowful and angry eyes. Ever since the calamity 10,000 years ago, the recording of that calamity had been passed down from generation to generation in the underworld Luo clan. On that day, Wan Changkong trampled countless members of the underworld Luo clan to death with his gigantic body. On that day, he casually refined 10 void refinement realm old ancestors of the underworld Luo clan into his puppets. Big Brother Lu. Please kill Wan Changkong. Please avenge us. Qing Dai said with teary eyes. When the Vine Sovereign saw Wan Changkong's true body suddenly appear and he was actually at the fifth heavenly layer of Nirvana realm, she was shocked. Obviously, he did not know that Wan Changkong's true body had arrived. He also did not know that Wan Changkong's true body had actually cultivated to such a level in the past 10,000 years. It seems like Wan Changkong is hiding something from me. Humph. The Vine Sovereign's eyes turned extremely gloomy. After this battle, I will definitely get rid of Wan Changkong after I unify the tree world. This person is not someone who can be easily dealt with. I must never let my guard down against him. However, before that, I can borrow the strength of this person's true body to resist Liu Bei and the 5 Evil Li. Just as the Vine Sovereign was thinking about that, the purple-eyed Evil Li had already shot out countless rays of black light. The rays of light swept towards Wan Changkong's true body, the silver-haired giant. When the rays of light hit him, the silver-haired giant immediately coughed out blood and retreated. His face was filled with shock. Countless cracks appeared on the puppet's body from the multicolored light. Unfortunately, even this silver-haired giant who had an extremely strong physical body was not a match for the purple-eyed Evil Li. Kill him. As soon as Ning Fan gave the order, the purple-eyed Evil Li shot out even more rays of light. The silver-haired giant's face turned pale with fright. He directly left the Vine Sovereign and the others behind. He only took the 3 void fragmentation realm living puppets and the 2 Evil Li with him. Then, he raised his hand and tore open a crack in the void. If his true body dies, he would die. However, if his true body dies, he would lose his life here. You can't escape. The purple-eyed Evil Li carried Ning Fan and chased after him into the void. Once a dangerous person like Wan Changkong becomes their enemy, they must not let him live. Chapter 603. In the boundless void, a 10,000 zhang tall silver-haired giant was desperately fleeing in the air. Each of his steps could cover a distance of millions of li. Behind him, a black-robed young man was standing on a gigantic niali with purple eyes and black feathers. He was chasing after the silver-haired giant with cold eyes. The purple-eyed niali would occasionally shoot out a ray of black light. If it hits the silver-haired giant, it would cause him a certain degree of injury. The silver-haired giant became more and more shocked. The strength of this purple-eyed niali was beyond his imagination. Liu Bei. Stop chasing me. If you push me too far, don't blame me for perishing together with you. The silver-haired giant shouted while fleeing. Noisy. Ning Fan snorted coldly. Then, he ordered the purple-eyed niali to launch an even more ferocious attack. More black rays of light swept towards the silver-haired giant. The rays of light condensed into a gigantic hand that emitted an ominous chi. It clawed at the silver-haired giant. Ah! As soon as the claw made contact with him, the silver-haired giant immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and fell from the void towards the endless abyss of the void. Not only did this strike inflict serious injuries on him, but it also carried an ominous aura that tainted his karmic luck by a lot. After all, he was a void fragmentation realm old monster. As a void fragmentation realm old monster, many of them had already cultivated purple luck. He had slaughtered many people in his life. Even though his luck was not purple, it was infinitely close to it. However, after being hit by the black claw, a large portion of his luck was directly tainted and it began to fall. What kind of ability is this? It can actually taint one's luck. The silver-haired giant tried his best to stabilize his body and stop falling. Then, he consumed a pill to forcefully suppress his injuries. During this time, Ning Fan had already blocked the silver-haired giant's path with the purple-eyed Niali and said coldly, "I've said it before. You won't be able to escape." The silver-haired giant's heart sank. He knew that if he keeps running away, it was indeed impossible for him to escape from Ning Fan's pursuit. Only by risking his life against Ning Fan might he be able to find a way out of death. Liu Bei. My main body has already learned from the memories of my divine clone that you possess the highest secret technique of the Mournful Death Clan, Black Moon Divine Ability. The art of mourning is unsolvable. If you encounter the Black Moon, you will perish if you go against it. It's true that your Black Moon Divine Ability is very powerful. With this technique, you subdued the broken 5 evils and used it to chase after me. But let me tell you, don't push me too far. If you are willing to let me go, then The silver-haired giant seemed to be negotiating with Ning Fan. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly paused. A ferocious light flashed across his eyes. At this moment, a silver door of light suddenly appeared below Ning Fan and the purple-eyed evil Li. As soon as the light gate of the heavenly dwelling appeared, countless living puppets immediately rushed out from the light gate and launched fatal attacks at Ning Fan. Among these living puppets, there were not only White Bone Evil Li and Nine-Headed Evil Li but also 3 First Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets and nearly 100 Void Refinement Realm living puppets. There were millions of living puppets below the Soul Formation stage and above the Golden Core stage. This was a portable Grotto Heaven space that one Changkong had created using the Grotto Heaven technique. It was specifically used to store puppets. After one's cultivation base reaches the Void Fragmentation Realm, many Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters would love to create a portable Grotto Heaven space to store some important items. Ning Fan was not surprised by the silver-haired giant's sneak attack at all. He had long been prepared for this kind of sneak attack. The only thing that slightly surprised him was that there was a familiar face among the 3 First Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets, Old Demon Fusang. Ning Fan had once learned from the members of the Fusang clan that Old Demon Fusang was killed by a sneak attack from a mysterious Void Fragmentation Realm expert and his corpse was nowhere to be found. Unexpectedly, Old Demon Fusang's corpse actually fell into the hands of the silver-haired giant and was even refined into a living puppet by the latter. It was obvious that the person who attacked Old Demon Fusang was undoubtedly Wan Changkong. Other than that black-robed old man, kill all of them. Ning Fan ordered the purple-eyed evil Li, shriek. What responded to Ning Fan was the purple-eyed evil Li's obedient screech. The purple-eyed evil Li's eyes were filled with disdain towards the sudden sneak attack of these living puppets. She calmly opened her gigantic mouth and formed a void eye in her mouth. Then, she opened her mouth and swallowed millions of living puppets, killing them all in one gulp. She swallowed millions of living puppets in one gulp. At the same time, layers of black light swept out from her body, turning nearly 100 Void Refinement Realm living puppets into ashes. She even killed the 2 Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets other than Old Demon Fusang. As for the 2 Evil Li who tried to sneak attack Ning Fan, both of them were repelled by the black light. Their injuries worsened once again. As for Old Demon Fusang's living puppet, the purple-eyed evil Li spat out a ray of purple-black light which turned into a chain that bound it tightly, rendering it immobile and handing it over to Ning Fan to deal with. Ning Fan raised his hand and summoned Old Demon Fusang who was bound by the chains to his front. Their eyes met and he sighed softly. From old demon Fusang's eyes, Ning Fan could see a hint of sorrow and sorrow. "Kill me," old demon Fusang begged. Old demon Fusang was already dead. Because his corpse was refined into a living puppet by Wan Changkong, he was resurrected in the body of a living puppet. He could still retain a trace of consciousness and think like a living person. However, he could no longer control his body. All he could do was obey Wan Changkong's orders obediently. Ever since they parted ways in Gomang country, he had not seen Ning Fan again. He could not imagine that the current Ning Fan would actually have such great abilities. He had a mount that possessed a terrifying cultivation base as his spiritual pet. With just a raise of his hand, he could devour millions of living beings and instantly kill void fragmentation realm cultivators. Currently, the Fuli demon blood in Ning Fan's body was soaring, giving old demon Fusang a feeling that he was unreachable. Old demon Fusang begged for death wholeheartedly. He only hoped that Ning Fan could end his fate of becoming a living puppet and give him a release. Once he becomes Wan Changkong's living puppet, there would no longer be any possibility of saving him and he would not be able to enter samsara after he dies. If Wan Changkong dies, all the living puppets would be buried together with him. It would also be an inevitable outcome. Senior Fusang, I owe you a favor that I have yet to repay. Today, I will grant you a release. After you die, I will collect your ashes and send them back to the Fusang clan. Many thanks. Old demon Fusang felt relieved but also a little disappointed. Have a safe journey. Ning Fan raised one of his fingers. A trace of void sword light appeared between his fingers and touched the top of old demon Fusang's head. After the void sword light pierced through the top of old demon Fusang's head, it immediately wreaked havoc inside his body. In the end, his puppet body was completely destroyed. A moment later, old demon Fusang's physical body disintegrated into countless ashes. Ning Fan kept all of the ashes into a jade box, preparing to bring it back to the Fusang clan later. In this way, he could be considered to have returned the favor to the Fusang clan. From now on, they no longer owed each other anything. The battlefield is ever-changing and you still have the mood to collect your friend's ashes. What a joke! The silver-haired giant laughed loudly and led the last two evil puppets to charge at Ning Fan in 3 different directions. It only took Ning Fan a moment to bury old demon Fusang and collect his ashes. What the silver-haired giant said was right. On the battlefield, even a split second of distraction could bring unimaginably terrible consequences. However, the silver-haired giant neglected one thing. It actually did not matter whether Ning Fan was distracted or not. After all, the one who was chasing after him was the purple-eyed Niali. Niali had been paying full attention to the silver-haired giant's movements. Besides, Ning Fan was not actually distracted at all. When he was collecting old demon Fusang's ashes, he was also paying attention to the silver-haired giant's movements. Taking advantage of the gap when Ning Fan was distracted, the silver-haired giant and the 2 living puppets launched their attacks at the same time. The white-boned Niali flapped its wings and countless white bones rained down. The 9-headed Niali breathed out 9 rays of icy light which condensed into 9 ice mountains. Once again, they crashed down on Ning Fan's head. The silver-haired giant's body was surrounded by endless nirvana chi. That nirvana chi was the unique ability of nirvana realm body cultivators. Under the enhancement of the nirvana chi, the silver-haired giant's physical body emitted a glazed luster and gave off a heavy aura force. That aura force carried the might of the heavenly momentum. The so-called nirvana realm cultivators had to merge their physical bodies with the Tao and temper their physical bodies with the power of the heavenly momentum. Void technique, heavenly Tao fist. At this moment, the silver-haired giant waved his fists which carried traces of the might of the heavenly Tao. As soon as he threw out his fists, the hollow space within 5 million li trembled violently. 1 punch, 10 punches, 100 punches. In just a short period of time, the silver-haired giant instantly threw 100 punches at Ning Fan. Even the Vine Sovereign and the others would not be able to withstand such a terrifying rain of punches. Ning Fan frowned. The devil star in his right eye flashed and rotated rapidly. In an instant, he completely copied the silver-haired giant's heavenly Tao fist technique. As long as he diligently practices it in the future, he would be able to master this technique. The heavenly Tao fist technique was quite profound. It was a mid-grade immortal void realm body technique. It could integrate the power of the heavenly Tao into the fist light made of nirvana chi. Its destructive power was naturally astonishing. However, this technique seemed to be an exaggeration. At the very least, this technique had only integrated a ring of heavenly Tao power from the heavenly Tao of the lower world. However, it had not integrated the heavenly Tao power of a higher level. Using the heavenly Tao as its title was a little exaggerated. Just as Ning Fan was trying to learn the heavenly Tao fist technique without restraint, the purple-eyed Niali shot out countless rays of black light which directly sent the two living puppets flying away. The rays of black light swept towards the heavenly Tao fist technique and destroyed them one by one. Perhaps the silver-haired giant's technique had borrowed the power of the heavenly Tao. However, the Fuli clan was once the emissary who was in charge of supervising the heavenly Tao. What they used was a method to suppress the power of the heavenly Tao. So what if it was the heavenly Tao? In ancient times, it was just a subordinate of the Fuli clan. Boom! When each of the fist light was destroyed, the rebounding force caused the silver-haired giant to retreat rapidly. In just a few breaths' time, all of the 100 fist light were destroyed. The silver-haired giant's face was filled with astonishment. The heavenly Tao fist was an ancient body technique that he found by chance. It could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao to attack his enemies. Its destructive power was extremely powerful. However, such a powerful technique was easily neutralized by the purple-eyed Niali. It was really unacceptable to him. The heavenly Tao fist was already his strongest technique. If even this technique could not hurt the purple-eyed Niali and Ning Fan, he would only have one last trump card which might be able to kill Ning Fan. Originally, I was unwilling to use this item. However, I can't care too much about it now. The ancient morning heavenly jade. It was this jade that gave me the opportunity to condense the morning death devil veins and cultivate the life puppet technique. If this jade unleashes its power, Liu Bei will certainly die. Originally, I was unwilling to use this jade, but now, I can't care about anything else. Liu Bei, you forced me to do this. The silver-haired giant's face was filled with hatred. He bent his palm and an ancient jade suddenly appeared in his hand. It would take some time to unseal the power of the ancient jade. Thus, he would let the two living puppets stall for time. Both of you, stall Liu Bei for 10 breaths' time at all costs. After 10 breaths' time, I have a way to kill him instantly. Screech. The two living puppets did not dare to disobey his orders. Instead, they charged at Ning Fan without caring about anything else. Chapter 604. As soon as the silver-haired giant gave the order, he immediately raised the ancient jade in the sky and performed hand seals with all his might to unlock the power of the ancient jade. Ning Fan glanced at it and narrowed his eyes. It was a piece of 5-colored ancient jade. It was an incomplete piece of broken jade. He could not tell what kind of material it was made of. It looked very old and there were some cracks on it. This ancient jade did not have the chi of a magic treasure. On the surface, it looked like an ordinary item. It did not look like a magic treasure. However, as the silver-haired giant performed hand seals, the ancient jade gradually emitted an extremely terrifying and strange chi. Sometimes, it was as cold as ice. Sometimes, it was as hot as fire. Sometimes, it was as hard as wood. Sometimes, it was as heavy as earth. Sometimes, it was as sharp as gold. The chi changed rapidly and the 5 elements gradually merged into one. At this moment, Ning Fan felt a sense of danger from the ancient jade. Even though it had been tens of thousands of years, the ancient jade still gave Ning Fan a strong sense of danger. Something was sealed inside the ancient jade. It was something extremely dangerous. Shriek. White Bone Niali and 9-headed Niali attacked him from both sides. Each of them launched their attacks at Ning Fan. After the first attack, the two beasts immediately fled far away. After accumulating power, they launched another attack. Of course, the two beasts could not hurt Ning Fan and the evil Li. Their goal was just to delay Ning Fan for 10 breaths of time so that the silver-haired giant could unlock the ancient jade. The two beasts had the cultivation bases of the third and fourth destruction realm. Even though they were not a match for the evil Li, they could still delay him for 10 breaths of time if they put up a desperate fight. Even though I don't know what exactly is sealed inside the ancient jade, I can't let Wan Changkong unlock it since it can give me a sense of danger. The demon star in Ning Fan's left eye flashed. A trace of ancestral Fu Li bloodline aura force spread across the entire void space. It was the aura force of 4 drops of ancestral Fu Li blood. Under such a level of aura force, White Bone Evil Li and Nine-Headed Evil Li panicked and did not know what to do. Their chi was being suppressed. Their demon power seemed to have been sealed, weakening rapidly. White Bone Evil Li's chi dropped from the third destruction realm to the absolute void realm. Nine-Headed Evil Li's chi also dropped from the fourth destruction realm to the first destruction realm. Even the depths of the two beasts' souls were trembling. Before this, they only knew that Ning Fan was a Fu Li. However, they did not know that he was actually a Fu Li with ancestral blood. The royal blood Fu Li could control the Sin Seal and easily kill any Sin Li. The ancestral blood of Fu Li could greatly weaken the cultivation of any Sin Li with just the pressure of its bloodline. This is ancestral blood demon blood pressure. Impossible. Liu Bei is actually an ancestral blood demon cultivator. What kind of demon blood is this? I've never heard of it before. It isn't any of the demon race that I know of, and it isn't even from the Xian Li clan, yet it can greatly reduce Xian Li's cultivation. Why? The silver-haired giant was greatly alarmed, but he fiercely bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood essence in order to speed up the process of unsealing the ancient jade. Now, the cultivation bases of the two life puppets had already weakened. Not to mention stopping Ning Fan for 10 breaths, they could not even stop him for 1 breath. If he didn't have enough time to unseal the ancient jade and release the item sealed within it, he would certainly die in Ning Fan's hands today. Not fast enough, the unsealing of the ancient jade was still not fast enough. The silver-haired giant ignited his mournful death blood. He did not hesitate to burn his demonic veins to speed up the unsealing of the ancient jade. 5 breaths, no, 3 breaths. Just give me 3 breaths. 3 breaths. I will then be able to release the ancient mournful puppet string within this ancient mournful heavenly jade. Then, I can easily capture the 5 Xian Li puppets and turn the situation around. 3 breaths. Give me 3 breaths. Unfortunately, he was destined to not have 3 breaths of time to unseal the ancient jade. Ning Fan would not even give him 2 breaths. At the moment when he released the ancestral blood pressure and weakened the cultivation bases of the 2 life puppets, the purple-eyed Xian Li had already received Ning Fan's order. It immediately spread out black rays that covered the entire sky and turned the 2 Xian Li into ashes. 2 Sin Li beasts died. The former's cultivation was condensed into 8 sin fruits by the Sin Seal, while the latter's cultivation was condensed into 12 sin fruits by the Sin Seal. To Ning Fan, who possessed the ancestral blood, each of the evil fruits was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. However, Ning Fan did not have the time to collect these evil fruits at all. Without any hesitation, he rode on the purple-eyed Xian Li and turned into a gust of demonic wind, dashing towards the silver-haired giant. Before the second breath arrived, he had already arrived in front of the silver-haired giant and launched an attack. The purple-eyed Xian Li flapped its wings and spread out black rays of light that covered the entire sky, sweeping towards the silver-haired giant. Even though the rays of light were as light as a feather, the silver-haired giant's sternum was immediately crushed. It was as if he had been hit by Mount Tai. His finger seals to unseal the ancient jade were forcefully stopped. The light of the ancient jade gradually dimmed and turned back into an ordinary broken piece of jade. Just like the 20 evil fruits, it floated in the boundless void space. Ning Fan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the light of the ancient jade had dimmed. It would be best if he could stop the silver-haired giant from unsealing the ancient jade in time. The silver-haired giant stepped on the void space while holding his chest with one of his hands. He only managed to stabilize his body after retreating 10,000 li. The silver-haired giant showed a pained expression as he lost the ancient jade 10,000 li away. However, he gritted his teeth and directly gave up on picking up the ancient jade. With a flash of light, he fled in a hurry. I've lost. This time, I've been utterly defeated. I even lost the ancient jade. It is no longer possible for me to be a match for the purple-eyed Xianli. I must run. Seeing that the silver-haired giant was about to turn around and flee, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and summoned the fire puppet with a wave of his hand, ordering it to pick up the ancient jade and all the evil fruits. As for himself, he rode the Xianli and continued to chase after the silver-haired giant. Currently, the silver-haired giant had even ignited his mournful death devil veins. Thus, his speed of fleeing was extremely fast. It was not any slower than the purple-eyed Xianli. However, as his devil veins gradually burned out, his speed gradually decreased. In the end, Ning Fan caught up to him after he had fled for hundreds of millions of li. At this moment, the silver-haired giant was already on the verge of death. He stared at Ning Fan, who was blocking his path, with an extremely resentful expression. Liu Bei. Liu Bei. Liu Bei. Why do you want to kill me? You've gone too far. You've gone too far. If you didn't have the help of the broken 5 evil li, do you think I'll be afraid of a mere junior of the absolute void stage like you? You're just a useless person who assumes the might of a tiger. If I... Before he could finish his words, Ning Fan showed a mocking expression. With a flash of light, he rode the purple-eyed Xianli and moved 100 li to the side. At the void space where Ning Fan was originally standing, a massive door of light suddenly appeared. Countless mechanical war chariots flew out from the light door. The spirit crossbows inside the war chariots fired at the same time. Millions of spirit arrows were shot at Ning Fan. Each of the spirit arrows was powerful enough to kill a gold core realm cultivator. Even a void fragmentation realm cultivator would die directly if they are careless when facing the joint attack of millions of spirit arrows. Even at this stage, the silver-haired giant's mind was still cunning. He still had the intention of launching a sneak attack on Ning Fan. He purposely fled hundreds of millions of li away in order to launch a sneak attack when Ning Fan was careless. Even when he was at the end of his rope, he was still unwilling to bow down and wait for his death. Unfortunately, Ning Fan had his guard up against him. It was impossible for him to fall into his trap. It's really a pity that all these millions of spirit arrows missed their target. Aren't you going to run anymore? Or are you going to launch a sneak attack on me for the 3rd time? Ning Fan's sneer carried a hint of mockery. Humph. I'm not going to run anymore. I'm going to perish together with you. 1,000 puppets, appear. The body of the silver-haired giant's spiritual puppet suddenly shattered. He exited his giant form and turned into the appearance of a silver-haired elderly man. He was none other than Wan Changkong. Wan Changkong pointed his finger and more than 40 light doors appeared in front of him out of nowhere. 20 to 30 void refinement realm spiritual puppets walked out of each light door. These spiritual puppets were different from the life puppets. All of them were death puppets, which were the most common spiritual puppets in the cultivation world. Some of them were refined from plants and wood, some were refined from spiritual ores, some were made from clay, some were made from ice, and some were made from human corpses. There were a total of 1,023 spiritual puppets in this place, and each of them was at the void inquiry stage. These 1023 spiritual puppets were the parts that made up Wan Changkong's body. Including Wan Changkong himself, there were 1,024 spiritual puppets in total. Other than the life puppet technique, Wan Changkong also inherited a magic technique from the ancient morning heavenly jade. It was called the Vajra body fusion technique. The main purpose of this technique was to let the cultivators of the morning death devil vein cultivate themselves into spiritual puppets. After that, they would refine a large number of death puppets. Through merging with the death puppets, they would obtain a powerful physical body that was far beyond their own cultivation realm. The reason why Wan Changkong's physical body could reach the fifth heavenly layer of the nirvana realm was because he had merged with the 1023 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. Now that he had unlocked the body fusion technique, he could naturally summon the 1023 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets to fight for him. Wan Changkong's eyes flashed with crazy killing intent. He performed a hand seal and the void inquiry stage spiritual puppets immediately soared into the sky, surrounding Ning Fan. As soon as they got close to him, they immediately exploded. In just a few breaths, nearly 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets had already exploded. When nearly 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets exploded at the same time, the resulting shockwave was enough to kill Ning Fan instantly. She opened her mouth and swallowed all the shockwave of the explosion into her abdomen, afraid that Ning Fan would be hurt. However, he was unscathed. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was unscathed. Her internal organs, on the other hand, were injured from the inside out. If she did not protect Ning Fan, she would not be hurt. This was the first time she got hurt since she broke the seal. Her chi became a little chaotic. Ha! The 5 broken void inquiry stage spiritual puppets are nothing more than this. You are still hurt by the explosion of my spiritual puppets, aren't you? Wan Changkong became even more excited. I don't want them anymore. I can give up on these void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. I don't want any of them. Even though the spiritual puppets are precious, his life is more important. If he cannot escape from today's calamity, everything else would just be empty talk. I don't believe that even 1000 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets can't kill all of you. Explode! 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 Wan Changkong laughed ferociously. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Originally, he had a way to escape into the small kiliacosm and avoid the explosion of these spiritual puppets. She did not know that he had a way to protect himself. That was why she was willing to risk getting hurt to protect him. Ning Fan did not know what kind of motive she had that made her submit to him, listen to his orders and protect him. However, when he saw that she wanted to protect him even if it meant hurting herself, he found it hard to calm down. You should take a rest. This Wan Changkong is already an arrow at the end of its flight. I can kill him myself. Even if there are 10 times more void inquiry stage spiritual puppets, they will still pose no threat to me now. None of the spiritual puppets in the billions of worlds can take my life. All of you will become my prisoners. I will imprison your life with a single finger. Ning Fan, who was dressed in black robes, flashed and disappeared from the top of Niali's head. When he reappeared, he was standing in front of the 800 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. His long hair danced wildly in the air. A pitch-black crescent moon slowly appeared in his left eye. At the moment when the crescent moon appeared, the connection between the 800 spiritual puppets and Wan Changkong was cut off. Each of the spiritual puppets stopped moving in the void space with blank expressions, not knowing what to do next. Then, the mark of a black moon slowly appeared on the bodies of the spiritual puppets. At the moment when the mark of the black moon appeared, the 800 spiritual puppets instantly changed sides and became Ning Fan's void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. In the void space, the 800 spiritual puppets bowed to Ning Fan at the same time to show their allegiance. Black Moon Divine Ability. This is the power of the Black Moon Divine Ability. With just a single divine ability, it can directly deprive me of the right to control the 800 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. What a domineering magic technique. If you encounter the black moon, you will be destroyed if you go against it. If you encounter the black moon, you will be destroyed if you go against it. As a spiritual puppet master and a member of the Dao Wang clan, no one can go against the black moon. Wan Changkong looked at the scene in front of him as if he had gone mad. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He had spent his entire life killing to obtain his current status, and that was how he refined these void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. However, in the blink of an eye, all of these spiritual puppets were taken away by Ning Fan. Why? At this moment, Wan Changkong released the body of giant venomous snake. His physical body was no longer as strong as before. At this moment, Wan Changkong only had the cultivation base of the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, he was severely injured and on the verge of death. Even so, he was unwilling to die here. He was unwilling. If you spare my life, I will be your puppet and your slave. I will help you kill the Vine Sovereign. With my Vajra body fusion technique, I can fuse thousands of puppets into my body. After that, my physical body will be comparable to a fifth heavenly layer Nirvana realm cultivator. Even the Vine Sovereign won't be my match. Wan Changkong begged for mercy. Ning Fan approached Wan Changkong step by step and said coldly, "No need. Even if I need a strong expert to be my slave, I won't look for you. It's because I don't believe you at all." Bang! Ning Fan's body suddenly shattered into traces of black shadows that drifted away. At the moment when his physical body shattered, a silver door of light appeared in the void space where he was just a moment ago. This time, four void fragmentation realm cannons shot out from the light door, trying to blast Ning Fan into pieces. Fortunately, Ning Fan dispersed his physical body in time and managed to avoid this attack by a hair's breadth. This was Wan Changkong's third sneak attack. Even until the last moment, he would still bite back. Ning Fan must not be careless. Even if a restriction is planted on him and his memories are erased, he would still be a disaster. You won't have the chance to sneak attack me for the fourth time. You can die now. The black shadows condensed and Ning Fan appeared behind Wan Changkong. He raised his hand and a ray of golden sword light cut Wan Changkong's head into two. The treacherous and ruthless Wan Changkong had truly fallen. The 13th trace of his spirit clone that he secretly cultivated tried to escape, but it was discovered by Ning Fan, who coldly searched his soul and memories. The moment Wan Changkong died, all the cultivators who were turned into puppets in the entire Eastern Tree Sea began to turn into ashes and dissipate. It was not just the Eastern Tree Sea. Even some cultivators in the other three great tree seas began to turn into ashes and dissipate. These people were also Wan Changkong's puppets. They were the spies that he had planted. If it wasn't for Ning Fan who killed Wan Changkong, these spies would probably never show up. After Ning Fan searched his soul, he breathed out devil flames and burned Wan Changkong's corpse into ashes. Only then did he confirm that he was dead. He took away Wan Changkong's storage pouch and the 800 spiritual puppets. Then, he returned to the top of Nia Li's head and drove it back to find the Zhihua puppet. Zhihua had already followed Ning Fan's order and found the ancient jade and the 20 evil fruits and handed them to Ning Fan. In this battle, Ning Fan obtained a total of 27 evil fruits. To others, this fruit was a poisonous fruit that would cause them to suffer a backlash. To Ning Fan, however, it was a great supplement which was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. Ning Fan kept the evil fruits and carefully studied the five-colored ancient jade. The more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. From Wan Changkong's memories, Ning Fan learned that this five-colored ancient jade was called the Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade. It could help cultivators open up the Morning Death Devil veins and obtain a few secret techniques of the Morning Death clan. Among those secret techniques were the Life Puppet technique and the Vajra body fusion technique. Inside this Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade, there was a thread that was sealed. It was a puppet thread. It was the Life Puppet thread that was once used by the Morning Ancestor. This thread possessed a great ability. With this thread, one could refine a puppet that was one level higher than him once. Ning Fan could not help but feel shocked. If he was a little slower in his actions and allowed Wan Changkong to unseal this thread, he would probably directly refine himself into a puppet. If he was not forced into a dead end, Wan Changkong would not use this thread. Originally, he planned to use this thread to capture a rogue immortal as a puppet and roam the 9 worlds. Wan Changkong was a void realm cultivator. With this thread, he could capture a rogue immortal as a puppet. Ning Fan was an absolute void realm cultivator. With this thread, he could at least capture a 6th or 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator as a puppet. He could even try to capture an 8th heavenly layer cultivator. I wonder if I can use the puppet thread of the morning ancestor to refine a rogue immortal into a puppet. In the past, Ning Fan had been thinking about how to control a rogue immortal. However, he had never thought about refining a rogue immortal into a puppet. Now that he had obtained the puppet thread of the morning ancestor, he could change his train of thought. If he directly refines a rogue immortal into a puppet, it would be much easier and safer than using the devil subduing hoop to control it. This is feasible. However, for the sake of safety, I will try to use this thread to subdue the rogue immortal after making thorough preparations. Now, it's time to end the grudge between me and the Vine Sovereign. In Jishui City, each of the puppets that caused trouble turned into ashes and vanished. The chaos in the city ended just like that. Looking at Jishui City, which was gradually calming down, the Vine Sovereign was shocked. All the puppets have disappeared. What's going on? Rumble.in Jishui City, the space was suddenly shattered. A black-robed young man stepped on the purple-eyed evil creature and flew out of the crack in the void, returning to the battlefield of Jishui City. At the moment when the purple-eyed evil creature reappeared, black rays of light immediately swept down from the sky. At this moment, there were already many cultivators of the Vine Palace who had rushed to the battlefield to provide reinforcements. However, as the black rays of light swept across, all of the cultivators of the Vine Palace were turned into ashes. The few remaining elders of the Vine Palace had either died in the hands of the 2 sovereigns or were killed by the black rays of light. Now, only a severely injured void fragmentation realm cultivator had survived. Liu Bei has returned. Wan Changkong must be dead. We've lost this battle. Old monster Tian Fei's expression was extremely gloomy. Retreat. The Vine Sovereign gritted her teeth and said. The 2 of them each took out a jade slip and crushed it. Immediately, a huge realm gate appeared behind them. Without any hesitation, the 2 of them leaped into their respective realm gates and escaped without a trace. The escaped jade slips of the 2 of them were actually the rain slips of the realm gate. The direction they were fleeing to was not the West Tree Sea but the Heaven Immortal World. The location of the 3 Worlds sect was exactly the Heaven Immortal World. After the defeat this time, all the experts of the Vine Palace were killed. The Vine Sovereign herself was also severely injured. Naturally, she did not dare to stay in the tree world to recuperate as she was afraid that Lu Haoyue would take revenge on her. Thus, she directly fled the tree world. Where do you think you're going? A void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace was unwilling to let go of the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei. Lu Haoyue wanted to stop that person but it was already too late. Just as the void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace stepped into the realm gate, a ray of purple light suddenly rose from the realm gate and swept across the void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace. That void fragmentation realm old monster immediately let out a miserable shriek. He was directly turned into ashes by the purple light. The realm-breaking light. The other void fragmentation realm cultivators of the Lu Palace were shocked. The escaped jade slips of the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei actually had the realm-breaking light to protect the realm gate. With this light, anyone who enters the realm gate would be directly turned into ashes by the realm-breaking light. Pass my order. No one in the Lu Palace is allowed to enter the realm gate. Lu Haoyue sighed and closed his eyes. Damn it. I actually let Tingunan escape. The Bamboo Sovereign was enraged. The injury of his broken arm became even more painful. With a slap of his palm, he killed the last void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Vine Palace who could not escape in time to vent the hatred in his heart. Ning Fan stood on top of Nia Li's head in silence. Currently, his magic power had been exhausted and the purple-eyed Nia Li had also suffered some injuries. Let alone the fact that the realm-breaking light was blocking them from entering the realm gate. Even if they managed to chase after the Vine Sovereign, they might not have 100% chance of killing the Vine Sovereign. However, if he lets the Vine Sovereign go, she would certainly become a source of trouble. Ning Fan pondered for a while. When he saw that there was only a faint layer of realm-breaking light outside the 2 realm gates, he immediately came up with an idea. He patted his storage pouch and took out 200 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets. Then, he performed a hand seal. Explode! The self-detonation of the 200 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets immediately blasted a hole in the thin layer of realm-breaking light outside the realm gate. As soon as the hole appeared, Ning Fan rode on Nieli and rushed into one of the 2 realm gates. That realm gate was not the one that the heavenly birds used to escape from. Instead, it was the one that the Vine Sovereign used. The moment Ning Fan rushed into the realm gate, the realm-breaking light outside the realm gate disappeared. Brother Lu has gone in. The Bamboo Sovereign found it hard to believe. Lu Haoyue answered casually. His eyes were filled with worry. He was worried about Ning Fan's safety and whether he could successfully kill the Vine Sovereign. In the past, he only admired Ning Fan's Tao comprehension. Now, he admired Ning Fan's way of doing things even more. He did not want anything to happen to Ning Fan. In the realm gate, the Vine Sovereign was flying towards the heaven immortal world with a gloomy expression. She would mutter to herself from time to time. Liu Bei. You foiled my great plan and forced me to flee from the tree world. I will remember this debt. The next time we meet will be the moment of your death. Is that so? We have already met again. I really want to see how you are going to kill me. Kill. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and he ordered Nieli to use the black light to attack. The Vine Sovereign was already not a match for the purple-eyed girl Nieli in the first place. Now that she was severely injured, how could she be a match for Ning Fan and Nieli? Liu Bei, you can't kill me. You can't. If you let me go, the grudge between us will be written off. How about that? I don't believe you. If you kill me, the 3 Realms sect will certainly not let you go. If I don't kill you, will the 3 Realms sect let me go? 3 days later, in the heaven immortal world, the Vine Sovereign's corpse suddenly fell from the sky and crashed into the entrance of the 3 Realms sect. The entire sect was shocked. Old monster Tian Hao, who had just returned to the sect, was even more terrified. Someone actually chased him into the realm gate and killed the Vine Sovereign. Who was it? Fortunately, that person did not enter his realm gate. Otherwise, the one who died would not be the Vine Sovereign but him. It was so close. Tian Hao. This sect master is asking you, who killed Du Yu? A drawn-out voice suddenly sounded out from afar. He did not ask the Vine Sovereign but Du Yu because to him, Du Yu was more useful than the Vine Sovereign. Chapter 605. It took Ning Fan 3 days to chase after the Vine Sovereign. Even though the Vine Sovereign was severely injured, she still managed to inflict serious injuries on Ning Fan and Nieli with her powerful divine abilities. When the Vine Sovereign tried to escape, she split her body into 10 rays of light and escaped. Ning Fan killed them one by one and spent a lot of effort to chase after them. 3 days later, Ning Fan returned to the realm gate along the same path. The gate was already closed on his way here. Ning Fan spent another half a month's time and used the wind mist technique to create a gap in the world passage. Only then did he return to the Eastern Tree Sea. During this calamity, countless cultivators died in the Eastern Tree Sea. Other than the 10 million cultivators who were turned into living puppets, there were 60 to 70 million cultivators who died in the chaos. If Ning Fan didn't kill Wan Changkong in time and turn all the living puppets into ashes, the number of casualties in the Eastern Tree Sea would be even higher. The vitality of both the Eastern Tree Bamboo Sea and the Western Tree Vine Sea were greatly damaged. Except for the Bamboo Sovereign, all the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Bamboo Palace died in this calamity. All the void fragmentation realm cultivators of the Vine Palace including the Vine Sovereign died in the calamity. Even one of the void fragmentation realm cultivators of the Lu Palace died in vain. More than half a month had passed. Jishui city that was destroyed by the war had already been rebuilt. Many cultivators of the Tree clan in the city were wearing plain white robes, remembering their friends and relatives who had died in the calamity. Ning Fan did not return to Jishui city with the Purple Eyes Nyali. The Purple Eyes Nyali was severely injured and he kept her in his cauldron world to recuperate. Ning Fan realized that she was actually a female. He returned to Jishui city alone in white robes. As soon as he entered the city, an elder of the Lu Palace who was at the first-level destruction realm immediately came out to welcome him. Elder Xiao Tan of the Lu Palace respectfully welcomes the Northern Tree Sovereign. The elder whose name was Xiao Tan cupped his fists at Ning Fan respectfully. Northern Tree Sovereign? What do you mean? Ning Fan was slightly stunned. He did not know when he had gotten this title. Seeing Ning Fan's puzzled expression, Xiao Tan immediately explained. From the time Ning Fan chased after the Vine Sovereign to the time he returned to the Tree World, it took him a total of 18 days. 3 days ago, Ning Fan had already killed the Vine Sovereign. At the same time, the Vine Sovereign's life token in the Tree World shattered. The news of the Vine Sovereign's death spread like wildfire. The entire Tree World knew about the Vine Sovereign's death. The incident where Ning Fan chased after the Vine Sovereign to enter the World Passage was witnessed by several tens of thousands of cultivators. Those who were observant could easily find out that the person who killed the Vine Sovereign was Ning Fan. Ning Fan's alias in the Tree World was Liu Bei. The title of Sovereign Northern Tree came from this name. Ever since Ning Fan entered the World Passage, Lu Haoyue had been waiting outside the World Passage, worrying about Ning Fan's safety. It was only until he received the news of the Vine Sovereign's death that he was convinced that Ning Fan had successfully killed the Vine Sovereign and that he would return to the Tree World in a few days. Hence, he didn't stay in the Eastern Forest Sea any longer. He left a few elders of the Willow Hall to guard the Eastern Forest Sea and brought the Bamboo Sovereign and his other subordinates to the Western Forest Sea to eliminate the Vine Sovereign's forces and take over the Vine Hall. Now that the Vine Sovereign was dead, the Vine Hall's countless inheritances naturally had to change owners. Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign purposely left a voice transmission jade slip for Xiao Tan to pass to Ning Fan. Ning Fan immersed his spirit sense into the jade slip. The voices of the Bamboo and Lu sovereigns were immediately transmitted into his sea of consciousness. If Brother Lu returns, please come to the Western Forest Sea as soon as possible. There are quite a lot of heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the Vine Hall. If it wasn't for Brother Lu's help, the two of us would certainly die in Tengunnan's hands. The hundreds of generations of treasures of the Vine Hall should belong to Brother Lu. From now on, there will be no sovereign in the Western Forest Sea and no sovereign in the Northern Forest Sea. If Brother Lu is willing, you can be the sovereign of the Western and Northern Forest Seas from now on. Since Brother Lu's name has the word North in it, I will address you as Sovereign Northern Tree. What do you think? Ning Fan finished reading the jade slip and kept it without saying a word. Xiao Tan still had some matters to attend to. After delivering the jade slip, he took his leave first. Ning Fan entered the city alone. His mind was racing and he felt a little disappointed. When he first entered Jishui city, there were as many cultivators as the clouds in the city. There were endless cultivators coming and going on the long street. At this moment, most of the cultivators in Jishui city had fallen. There were only a few people on the long street. The atmosphere was different, but there were two completely different Tao rhymes. This is the Tao rhythm of life and death. Life and death. Once you break through life and death, you will be qualified to seek for the immortal path and achieve immortality. What is life and what is death? In the past, I only knew that before one's lifespan ends, life is life and death is death. But now, it seems that this view is not correct. Immortals have no lifespan. Judging life and death by lifespan is obviously one-sided. Life and death, life and death. When there are so many people on the street, this street is alive. When there are no people, this street is dead. To the long street, death isn't the end of one's lifespan, but it's related to the endless pedestrians. I don't know what the true meaning of life and death is in this. During the great calamity of the eastern tree sea this time, he had witnessed the life and death of countless people. Compared to the past when he personally killed people, the feeling he got was different. Thus, he naturally had a new understanding of life and death. Comprehending the Tao of life and death was the key to becoming an immortal. It was not surprising that the current Ning Fan could not see through life and death. Comprehending the Tao of life and death was something that void fragmentation realm cultivators needed to consider. Ning Fan was just an absolute void stage cultivator. What he needed to comprehend right now was how to break the hollow space. His comprehension of the void gradually advanced from the void glimpse stage, void inquiry stage, void pierce stage and absolute void stage to the great perfection stage. However, after reaching the great perfection stage, he needed to break this circle and jump out of this void. Breaking the hollow space. Breaking the hollow space. There is nothing in the hollow space. How do I break it? How do I break the hollow space? Ning Fan sighed in disappointment. He was still quite a distance away from the void fragmentation realm. He had a feeling that the higher his cultivation base was, the more ignorant he felt. When he was at the vein opening realm, he obtained the first ring of inheritance of the heavenly Tao in the chaotic ancient land. Then, he thought that he was already above void fragmentation realm cultivators. Now that he recalled the past, he felt that he was a little too arrogant in the past. He slowly stopped walking. With a flick of his sleeve, a piece of white paper slowly appeared in his palm. There was no ink on his fingertip. When he drew on the white paper, he drew an ink-colored circle. The great Tao was like a piece of white paper while the cultivators were like circles on the paper. The smaller the circle, the fewer places the edges of the circle touched. The bigger the circle, the more places the edges of the circle touched. The lower one's cultivation base was, the shallower the Tao that one could see. The higher one's cultivation base was, the deeper the Tao that one could see and the more ignorant one would feel. Being able to understand one's ignorance was much more brilliant than thinking that one knew everything. Ning Fan looked at the circle on the paper. He knew that if he wants to break the void fragmentation realm, he would have to break that circle and that void. He pointed his finger and the white paper turned into ashes and dissipated as if it had never existed before. Ning Fan looked at the ashes of the paper drifting away. He seemed to have comprehended something but he could not fully comprehend it. He no longer pondered about these problems of Tao comprehension. Instead, he reflected on his trip to the tree world. This time, he had obtained quite a lot of benefits from entering the tree world. The day he attained the first grade rain intent was just around the corner. He had already cultivated the minor 5 elements physique. Besides, if he devours the ancestral bamboo, his wood element physique would probably reach perfection in one go. His cultivation base had already broken through to the absolute void stage. If he could empty the 100 generations of the Vine Hall's accumulations and use the countless heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures to improve his cultivation base would certainly skyrocket once again. He had cultivated the royal ancient divine bloodline and opened the first heart acupoint of the ancient god. His cultivation speed would certainly increase tremendously in the future. During his trip to the tree world this time, Ning Fan had also fulfilled Mu Luo's request by finding the members of the Ming Luo clan and killing Wan Changkong to avenge them. If he could bring the members of the Ming Luo clan and the remnant soul of the Yu Huang back to the Rain world, it would also be a good thing. During his trip to the tree world this time, Ning Fan had even subdued Niali, who was at the 5th void fragmentation realm, and subdued 600 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. The number of heavenly tribulation puppets he had increased to 5, and he also had Ting Xianro, who was a void fragmentation realm helper. Currently, Ning Fan's combat power was probably much stronger than the entire Rain Palace. Not only that, after killing Wan Changkong, he had also obtained the Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade, which had a puppet thread of the Morning Ancestor sealed in it. If he could refine the rogue devil into a living puppet with this puppet thread, he would have an 8th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm helper by his side. With my current wealth, it won't be difficult for me to fight against Moksha Sovereign. Once the 100 years period is up and the ancient heavenly court opens, Moksha Sovereign will definitely die. Entering the tree world this time, Ning Fan had obtained a great fortune, but he had also provoked a strong enemy. He had killed Du Yu and was punished by the Vine Palace. Now that the Vine Palace had been annihilated, the Three Realms sect which was behind the Vine Palace would certainly hate him. The sect master of the Three Realms sect is an old monster at the 8th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. If I can successfully control the rogue devil, I will be able to fight against him and I won't have to fear the Three Realms sect anymore. If I can't, I won't be able to fight against the Three Realms sect. With my current absolute void stage cultivation base, the probability of refining the rogue devil into a living puppet is less than 50% even if I have the puppet thread of the morning ancestor. If my cultivation base can advance further and attain the primordial returning realm, the probability of subduing the rogue devil will be at least 90%. It's not difficult to attain the primordial returning realm. I won't stay in the tree world for long. I don't need the title of Northern Trees Sovereign and I have never thought of ruling the Western Trees Sea and the Northern Trees Sea. However, I must take away the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Palace. With the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Palace, I will pave the path to the primordial returning realm for myself. After that, I will subdue the rogue devil in one fell swoop. By then, the Three Realms sect will no longer be a threat to me. Let's put the matter of the Three Realms sect aside for now. There are some troubles in the Rain world. As for the Devil world, I wonder what Moksha Sovereign will do after learning that I've killed the Vine Sovereign. Ning Fan sighed. From the moment he subdued the evil Li and appeared in the sky above Ji Shui, he was destined to not be able to continue hiding his identity in the tree world. The matter of subduing the evil Li was enough to make him famous in the 9 worlds and attract the attention of all the void fragmentation realm experts in the world. Moreover, the matter of killing the Vine Sovereign could not be hidden from the cultivators in the world. The death of a divine sovereign of the 9 worlds was a major event. Even if the one who died was a divine sovereign of the 3 lower worlds, it would still attract the attention of many cultivators in the 9 worlds. Perhaps, the news of the Vine Sovereign's death had already spread across the entire 9 worlds. As for Ning Fan, the culprit who killed the Vine Sovereign, he must have already been exposed to the world. Some people who are observant might have already found out that Ning Fan was not Liu Bei but Marquis White Robe of the Rain world. If the Rain Sovereign of the Rain world finds out about Ning Fan's shocking battle achievements, what would he think? Would he be wary of Ning Fan and befriend him, or would he hate Ning Fan out of jealousy and turn against him? The battle in the tree world this time was too huge. It had directly pushed Ning Fan to the peak of the storm. From today onwards, no one knew how many troubles would come one after another. Unknowingly, Ning Fan had already arrived outside the residence of the Fu Sang clan. He stopped in his tracks. With a flash of traveling light, he directly appeared in the main hall of the residence. The patriarch of the Fu Sang clan, Tang Xiong, was having a discussion with a few elders of the clan. Each of them wore a worried expression. As soon as they saw Ning Fan's sudden arrival, all of them immediately stood up to greet him. None of them dared to show any neglect. Ning Fan had killed the Vine Sovereign and won Changkong. In the battle in Ji Shui this time, he had even killed countless void fragmentation realm experts. His name, North Tree Sovereign, had already spread across the tree world and even to the other worlds. Even though Ning Fan was just an absolute void stage cultivator, in the eyes of the members of the Fu Sang clan, he was no different from a 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm divine sovereign. We, the members of the Fu Sang clan, greet North Tree Sovereign. May I know why North Tree Sovereign has come today? Tang Xiong said respectfully. I owe Senior Fu Sang a favor. The reason why I came here today is to send his ashes back. That's all. What? Old ancestors' ashes? This. Tang Xiong and the other members of the Fu Sang clan all wore sad and excited expressions. They were sad because they remembered the past of their old ancestor's death. They were excited because they had found his ashes so that his body would not be left to wander around outside. Ning Fan flicked his finger and an exquisite jade box immediately appeared on the bamboo table in the middle of the hall. That jade box contained old demon Fu Sang's ashes. The ashes faintly emitted a trace of the old demon's qi, old ancestor. Tang Xiong and the other elders had tears in their eyes. They knelt down and kowtowed to the jade box. Farewell. Ning Fan sighed softly and turned to leave. Since he had sent back old demon Fu Sang's ashes, he no longer owed the Fu Sang clan anything. Previously, he had agreed to help Tang Xiong take care of Tang Yuan because Tang Xiong was very likely to die in this calamity. Today, due to his intervention, Tang Xiong did not die and the Fu Sang clan was not destroyed. Thus, he had no reason nor need to take Tang Yuan as his concubine. North Tree Sovereign, please wait. Tang Xiong wanted to stop Ning Fan but Ning Fan walked further and further away. Soon, he disappeared from their sight. Tang Xiong sighed softly. To be honest, now that he was still alive, he was reluctant to give his daughter to Ning Fan as his concubine. Ning Fan's refusal to take Tang Yuan as his concubine made him feel both happy and regretful. He was happy because he could choose another suitable Dao companion for his daughter. Regretful because he had lost the chance to form a marriage alliance with Ning Fan.